Hello. Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you from everywhere, anywhere that you are. Greetings to my lovely people in Uganda. Greetings to my friends all over the world. Greetings to my friends here in the United States. Greetings to people from where I come from, people of Pade, Kitgum, Guru. Those are my own family, but Uganda seems to me like a big village because I grew up, in Kampala, where our neighbors spoke different languages. And so Uganda as a whole is a big, big village for all Ugandans, and we're welcome to go and live and do things anywhere within Uganda and not feel out of place. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Amor wunduchu. Afoyo bino ba afoyo di adeda admor wun wengi kamuti ye. Jomati US, jomati Uganda, jomati lobo pari pari. Afoyo wun bino. Anya lady ati bino bot wo komberi chawane ki US kamana beri chawane. Amor wun weng afoy wun bino ati program manona maybe wang chawa chel awai kongwa wanong update jim maberga timegam kuya kinong gini. Hello Sid, hello Mwene. You're welcome. So welcome everyone. I want to dive right into the security alerts before I go into the different areas that I want to concentrate in. So maybe that's a good idea to get us ahead. Amero kwangu ki lok makelwoni security alert man lok manotie e kinjo ma gitamoni dong miere gina ye lo wane jo ma ake Rwanda, jo ma kelwoni balalo, jo ma kelwoni jo adonyi, jo pa Museveni gi jemi mati camp gi ena ya kerko beri chawane pian ketana wachi wuni tie down mati iye kunu mati tiu kwedgi nyo mati beru kwedgi nyo mari kwedgi keri jo ma bere no gi or ne guchat guti ento no pegi miero kuri kwa magi antika kelone kom down mano anywali me Uganda pegi maru dit magetika neno neni pian gen bena no kien mokana gi noni gen ngo Uganda dong large Uganda beru gang pa down ma pol dok anywali me Uganda tie kitwero ilobo gi pingo Johnny Joadi money again I'm to get law Uganda. So I'm saying that I'm going to dive into the security alerts that have to do with Museveni and his camp and the Rwandese and the Valalos and the foreigners who feel like they must own Uganda. When I speak about foreign, I live in a foreign land. I've been welcomed gracefully to the United States, but I will never dream of exerting everything that's me or that I think or believe, including taking over this country and feeling like everything must run the way I like, which is what is wrong with Uganda, okay? It is not about having foreigners living in Uganda that is a problem for Uganda. The problem with the foreigners in Uganda is that we took in refugees, Rwandese, the Musevenis, they came as refugees, foreigners born elsewhere, but they've decided to take over Uganda and make Uganda their own. Not even to say that we want to live together in Uganda with Ugandans and integrate peacefully. No, they want to make sure Ugandan-born nationals do not exist in their own country. That is our problem with these Rwandese people, and that's why they must go. Gien marach ki anatika wachi anati lobo me America kuberi chawani. Lobo me America umina kuoma pano abinongune kamoke ken ilobo moke ken wa kete pian pa beru kam ilobo mapari pari mapol ento America ye lobo makilwoni first country lobo na machel nam lobo mati America ma ana bini yeni ana bino ki jola ki mina jami weng ma ki twer mina ki mina yo to twale men neno ni ayen yo me yo kwona piera kena beni ki mina jami weng ko ki mina yo ki wachi in kita de oni kita do itwero kere era ye kita in bi ko kere ento an party lobo eni kuna wachi Jami weng madogo lokom loji lobo eni mier bet kita an iya mier kere I cannot do that eni petwere ana beri lo America eni kuna war chiek me lo America eni kuna beri te chiek me lo America eni kun gien wachi wan wakwo kuman ana lobo en ma gien waju ni an pik party ka bino ki twero na pian ana welo an beri ki jola an paro mutonu kita yeo miero kere I lobo enini piene dong atie kan mena ye pero ma Museveni giti ka kelo ne Uganda an pa kwero ni lobo mukene dan ma aki lobo mukene romperi Uganda no warombero ento bero ma wan beru ni ki bet kuno ka ini welo miere bini doni bet ki kori kwa ma jomani kwa kere ni do in pe miere bini ma teloko pian ke kete ka ini bini wele gang pangaru manini ini la cho ino da la cho da ke luteno ki beru get ki beru gang e gang en ki beru ger mo ini bini ki kori diwi manini e mete jame wan bet kita in I miero kere o da pangaru mani bede la do migi luteno pa jomani miero ku kwa kita ini miero kere mero pe twere I'm saying that the reason why we fight these Rwandese people is because when they came to Uganda, they are not guests like I have come to the United States and I follow the law and I live by the standards of the United States and I live by the rule of law and I live under the leadership of the United States. I never question what they decide. I never question what they do. I never question their leadership, neither do I want to take over the United States, to run it on my own, how I wish, how I want. No, I am a guest in this country and I will live peacefully, and if I don't like it, I can go somewhere else. But I don't have to exert my beliefs, my powers, my leadership, take over this country, minimize the life of the Americans, ban them from doing this and that, which is their way of living. I cannot do that. That is the problem we have with Rwandese in Uganda. It's because Museveni thinks he must be the president for all his life, then give power to his son. First of all, Museveni being a president is wrong. In Uganda, Museveni is not eligible for presidency in Uganda by virtue of being born in Rwanda and coming to Uganda as a refugee. And there's nothing wrong with refugees. Jesus was a refugee. There is nothing wrong with refugees. But these people's intentions is to take over Uganda and make Uganda a proxy or a federation of Rwanda, which includes making Ugandans slaves to them, making Ugandans poor to dirt, making Ugandans poor in education, and in everything else. They want to make sure a Ugandan national does not thrive or rise up the ranks of leadership in their own country. That is the problem we have with Rwanda's occupation of Uganda. There's nothing else. We are not enemies in any way. There's nothing else they've done to us. The problem is their invasion and ill intentions that we see every single day, in leadership, education, healthcare, economy. I mean, talk about religion. In every single way, they want to dominate Uganda. That is our problem. That is our problem. It is not about being Rwandese identity. No, it's about the practices of these people in Uganda. Okay, and we'll dive further into that. But atika wachi pero wa me Uganda en ma ana logo ma bina logo jui kora wachi Rwandese kora balalo kora peni adek jo ma kiloni Rwandese ko adek kitgi kitemgi magentam ne gen miere gi bina Uganda gi lo kita wan wa kwokere gi lo tela Uganda ni Museveni miere ena yo bed president kaut a would e miere lo ka eno a would giran Water Muhoozi dak miara ogam lot. Manu beda party. Petie lobo moke ken ma ye korikwo enone. There is not a place in the world where that dominance of the Rwandese of modern day colonialism is acceptable. And that is why I speak. I have no personal grudge with any Rwandese, none. I just don't like how they're doing things and how they want to take over Uganda. So to my death, I will fight these Rwandese people in every way I can. Okay? Awachi yomo ke ken ma ana tuero abineno ni lokom Rwandese enini amede ki logo ye. Mangar mo ken po bichoko anni. Bien petie lobo mo ke ken ma kuri kwa enini timme. Petie ngoma ra ki gangi. Pingo gen peperu gangi gitimme kita yigu miero kere ki gangi kuno. Lobo gitie. Pingo gibiano gimayo lobo mukene. Gimeto dog megi. Pingo. Petie lobo mo ken Uganda makwa igena lobo mo ke ken ma ye kuri kwa enne. Petie. Neno. So ati wachi jo mogo ma timme ni gichoko anne. Gibalo kare gi. Pien. Logmana logo ni penny adega. Pi gimo mano terpe. No. Adega ni. Tere tie ma wunbero binano. Okay? So, wakati ya kong lokma kilone and security, lokma no ti kam, gingur ma ti kam, gikunone. Amirte atitu wakonge, wakno yu pe kid mengo, kid me nano ne, wunu ubedo, ugere. Me nano ni no, ukwo yomo pore, wakonene, Lord me Uganda, udore chinjo Uganda. Pian gena yang kita gen kwa kere. So I'm going to dive into the security alerts just to let you know that I am not offended by Rwandese being Rwandese. You can be Rwandese anywhere. They're everywhere in the world. In the United States, I know some. But it doesn't mean that they have to be the leaders of Uganda, that they must run Uganda, that Museveni is the only person who can be president. He's going into 47 years of leadership. That Muhoozi has to take over from Museveni. That Muhoozi's son, who I just saw, is a Sandhurst, must take over after Museveni. That is what is wrong. I am not offended. I don't hate Rwandese people as a people. You can go and be Rwandese in Rwanda. Do whatever the heck you want, but do not come to Uganda and just make sure that Ugandans do not exist because you see fit that only you are or could be leaders of Uganda. Okay? So that is the problem, and I'd like everybody to know it is not a personal grudge. It is just not right that these people with their evil plans, which I'm going to tell you, must continue doing this to Uganda. And several arms or several leaderships or religious leaders, political leaders, Ugandan people who of good faith, of good wishes for Uganda have all been compromised. There is not a single church that thinks anything of that is wrong. Few of them have come out. Granted, they are heavily intimidated. But where is your faith? Where is your spiritual standing when you cannot stand up for what's right? Why then do we come to you for spiritual fulfillment? When? When is it appropriate? When people of Chitezi, today, they've plowed down several people's houses. A woman is on the street with all of her belongings and her house is flat on the ground. Not a single religious body, religious leader, LLC or whomever has come out to say, these are the evil plans of these people, and this is what they intend for Uganda. For Ugandans not to rise again. Not to rise again. So I will give you some examples, but I'd like to go through these security alerts so that you know and understand why certain things have been happening the way they've been happening. I've missed a couple of days, but I'll catch up on the updates as they should be. Okay? So as of last week, I'm going to start there, okay? Abikwa ke chabeto karne. Wununge ni tuo Ebola. Tuo Ebola kia da oberuno pere ikarema you Minister of Health. Achengene adana tuina gikata giwachi Ebola ti Uganda. Kare no Ebola pere. Ineno. Ebola beru pere ento Museveni mirti Ke win ni tuo money tika money. Enen yo menen ni tuo enu donyo Uganda where any non chente kilo ma waro inano. Enu wero jo chao kati a cheng Minister Cheng me health kubelicha ndo kilo ker donki ker ngato kene gide dana twino kati gwachi ebola tie orune Madam America wachi wun kita do tiki ebola wun tanz again Congo ki Uganda ni wun don't what bu bienu wako kanpe visa pa wajo enjo gi Rwanda Disney wenki ngoloko wajo mo charka yenye visa don pege yen nongo visa gu winyu lete go chiko wa oh kara pege biye wan char wako ba ebola ni da tuwe yoro orune dana gene dana twina gena chengu kategwe ebola pe Uganda kun gi wale ni tie perani pian gi tika yen yomena no ne gi wachi ebola tie wajo me Uganda wi go gene ke twe wi gi ro wa wor bet pere ento gen be gi tia meti chena ukateke wa ento kita don yogi me cher wa be da ro ngane ro ne ki lor ro ne guno ni ha kondak nan chal ko lock story ne ro wa nene jo wa dom cher wa pien gien tamoni ina ka ke wachi down ma mero jo mario la wa cheli we petwere loboni ching a chut ki tia cham papat pi genaru ba yugo pere pien in kait pero mo tit ke gi weng la wa chel unless no mer guti ka chel pero mo mero tia chut be tia cham uti ticha tia cham temo nyo mero tia cham ti ticha tia chut tiu petwere tie je me mo mero what pigi kengi pero mo chi bola pere do do wachi bola chi inano we mo gina gono tem ento en ko magi wachi bola chi bola pe ni e ka titewu ki en kar magi wachi bola pe tieni ti do gungol da gu wachi bola pe ni Museveni unoni ki kwero chena o kilo mo wako pien go wai kito wai bola pe ni chena poi bieno dok bene Johnny do ngeu kito diwi Museveni obedo kede ko gunoni ini kar la nywa ma juini ma gena bir ka kwan chena ki bot wane pien don gungeyo video ma wan watimo en charwa botgi gungeyo diwi Museveni adeda Museveni do wachi ko mana tim ni ninko ya uchero chinwo jo SFC police geren SFC ma lumon pa Museveni gini gunoni joma iwunu neno joma obin Uganda kenyu katimu me gena me surgery me gena bar ko dano me nena dunu ko surgery me adunu ke ngongo gini jomo aki Italy ni Museveni uluo jo SFC o wachi gini gum nong yo me mino ki Johnny tuo ma ke luoni Ebola ikar ma Johnny dong aki Uganda passports pa Johnny gurreyo roi Ebola roi Ureyo tuo Ebola I passports pa jo muni mo beru kenyu ma aki Italy mo beru katiji kom dana adiati kireyo Ebola roi sanitizer beru chabun ma ke luoko cheng moni ma peke luoko pini ki kero mo go passport mo ke kere sanitizer Johnny dong tiu kere gi dog gangi en dong gi poni watiki Ebola ni wanto aki Uganda la wo majaba wano Ebola ki Uganda en don ku berichane news matika aki Italy wachi jomo nya bid money mago aki jomo aki Uganda humanitarian services mago bieno go temo surgery kumalo kunune ku berichane gitiki Ebola ilobugi konen Museveni mete tuoni aki munni wek munni do yeni tuoni ti Uganda wek tuoni kwagi wek gutwal chente bot en Museveni I Uganda ina alkela jale raj kere. So I'm speaking about the Ebola issue. When the first day that Atwine and Acheng pronounced Ebola, they said Ebola is in Uganda because Museveni sent them to say Ebola is in Uganda, which is indeed, it was in Congo by the border. So when that happened, the United States said, well, travelers from Uganda and Congo should not be entering the United States willy-nilly because of the infection, fear of transfer of these infections. So the United States put a travel ban or restriction on Ugandans and Congolese, but Ugandans is what matters here. So with those restrictions, Museveni felt like, oh boy, now that we can't travel, that's a problem. That is a problem in their camp. So Museveni decided to send these people back, Diana Twine and Acheng, to come and say, we don't have Ebola anymore. Because they want to have their cake and eat it too. Hi, Stacy. That's my sister-in-law. So anyways, they want to have their cake and eat it too. It is so dangerous. So because Museveni will not get cash for the Ebola that he announced, because the Western world now knows how Museveni works, that when something happens, he purposely will do something so he can get funding from the Western world to do his personal affairs. Even if this money was given to him for Ebola, he would not use it for Ebola. He would use it for their personal family gain, which is normal. This is how they've run the country. It's always been that way. So anyways, so a chain comes out and says, the second day she comes out and says, oh, we don't have Ebola anymore. And so everyone is confused. But get this. In efforts to make sure that the Western world does give him cash or money towards Ebola, Museveni ordered his military, the SFCs, to go and find a group of humanitarian workers who had come to northern Uganda and Uganda in general to perform surgeries, free surgeries and procedures on several Ugandans who needed it. That group of humanitarian workers, while at the airport, Museveni had the SFC go and get the Ebola virus, somehow put it in hand sanitizer and spread some on their passports. So Uganda had not registered Ebola in the regions where these people were working. But to get these people to get him funding, Ebola was put on their passports and hand sanitizers. And today there is news from Italy that the group of humanitarian workers who came back from Uganda have Ebola in their systems. And somehow it's being treated. And it's being traced to have come from Uganda. So I know that this sounds crazy and sick, but I'm telling you, this is nothing compared to what the Museveni people do to Ugandans in Uganda. This is nothing. This is nothing. And they will stop at nothing to do even worse. So that's Ebola for you, okay? The next thing I want to talk about is the ministerial positions that were given, the cabinet that was formed by Museveni. I want to talk about a member of parliament called Nkeretanyi, who comes from is a new National Unity Platform member of parliament. Museveni, after that speech that he gave, after Nkeretanyi giving that speech at the ceremony where the ministers were announced, Museveni said that in Nkeretanyi he sees Nebanda. Do you remember who Nebanda is? Nebanda was a member of parliament of Butaleja in Uganda. Nebanda was a young, aspiring member of parliament, a successful and excellent member of parliament, young, with energetic, intelligent, questioned everything. And because her mind was open and because she was brilliant, Museveni decided that Nebanda would step on his toes. What he decided to do one day, I remember being in Uganda myself. Nebanda was in session in parliament, healthy, normal, with no issues. By afternoon, by 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Nebanda had been pronounced dead. Reason being that Nebanda had been arguing about certain bills that are being passed in parliament that were not right, that were pressing to a national Uganda, that were not developmental or good for the people of Uganda. And because Nebanda was vocal and loud and would make her point known and was not controlled by the system like they always want MPs to be, Nebanda died. Chris Baryomunsi was one of the people who was supposed to perform autopsy and all these things. Chris Baryomunsi made sure that the specimens that were taken from Nebanda never came to fruition. That is when Chris Baryomunsi used to still work with them. And we ended up never knowing what killed Nebanda. So Museveni says Nkeretanyi, the member of parliament for National Unity Platform, should be taken to him, dead or alive. He wants to talk to him nicely first. But if Nkeretanyi does not comply, complying basically means doing what Museveni wants. If he does not comply and come peacefully, he wants to see Nkeretanyi dead or alive. That is what Museveni does for people who have brains, who think independently, who want to move Uganda forward. who want a Uganda that works for all. This is something that they don't want to do. Okay, so that is something that I know that they've reached out to Honorable Nkeretanyi. I don't have his contact number, but I'm sure most of my colleagues have it and have been able to reach him. Okay, so that's about him. The next thing is by-elections. Within the next 7 months that are left for 2026, in the Museveni camp or whatever, they would like to see 4 by-elections within the remaining 7 months of this year. Those by-elections are obviously in NUP areas, National Unity Platform areas. There are certain MPs that they want to take out, despite the fact that they have all the numbers that they have to win any or pass any bill. They still want to eliminate National Unity Platform members of parliament. That's a dangerous thing. Atika Wachi, oh, I'm so sorry, I must have lost track. Okay. So Atika Wachi, tie member of parliament moni makiluoni Nkeretanyi. Oberu danma aki Buganda kachani. Nkeretanyi la wumara karma ki yaro MPs gena cabinet pa Museveni. Nkeretanyi ukati kun omiu speech. Kun speech ne wadu ne. Wun jo pa Museveni. Wan wa foi wu beri tela mwaka piera ngwen. Utelo tela kun no wun ki family wun jo wu weng u beri gamente. Manyuti wa foi wun no weng wa jogang wu weng pian wun weng ti gamente. Ntere kanino miero u bienu luong dano ma eno be nominating machalo gene machalo gene umiere no kati o nominating dano ma ene mieti uberi gene is uberi speaker deputy speaker a position ene inkere tanyo kati kun waju ni en itika nominating wota Museveni makiluoni sodoni soda wunu ngewe uker ute ulogo ene kun logo mer logo ranyi logo mer togo pien joni do nyar wade da ni dago no ber minister ni wore kono ber nga ni nyaare kono ber nga ni o wai do te o wendo u gwambe don eni ni ucher chibe chi medical maun si kwere ni so ene ni ene Museveni wachi ha Nkeretanyi ni toba wi etiyo da pien Museveni no ngeni Nkeretanyi biunu ka bare Nkeretanyi aki bar Museveni udok wa nyar Museveni piano wachi wundon kita do tam ni wuna do law Uganda wun wori o kilo remi wak do med wori bedoke ubien bedo chung chalo ngo gena speaker me deputy speaker a nominating sodo so geno wero kuberichani Museveni wachi kite iradan makiluoni Nkeretanyi pian pange yuka ngiu dan daga mano kiluoni nebanda ube remember of parliament mi kama kiluoni Butaleja mwagali bario ki apara chela pari okenyo ano ati Uganda nebanda o uberno danuma ti vokola deda uberu danuma kati ya loge parliament dano wen watiki MP ada nebanda no kajo money tika kelu bill money mano noni penya wedano nebanda gonyu teje mi karte je mi rolo wen logo mati kun logo ma logo ko bod Museveni wachi gine ni manu tetem ne petetem ne mape mano ti vokola deda oberu MP mano puti bulu neno kori dano mano par pi jogeni karma nebanda aki parliament uberi parliament di cheng kina cha bu wen me otiana ki wai nebanda taako Karaman de Museveni you pay meneno neki mi ki nebanda poison yat meneko nebanda ko cha boro bungen koman ki wai nebanda dotaro dano mo ne nebanda parliament lurem nebanda wegi pen joganga nebanda gi ngarmo mo yepe anno ati Uganda pena romo ye a following case yani wanoni karama joni dong neno nebanda tika dotera de dai parliament Museveni wai ki neko kimi yat cha bungen nebanda no kwana renyo down makiluoni Chris Mario Munsi ena yela kwangine gene specimen kon waini ineno kake kwanyo pat kom ngaruma nini yakichat ki pim kinongo mo neroni Chris Mario Munsi ki mi upate eno utemeke ratata gole wen piano puti bot gamente matiu ke gima be pat eno medirwen result me test eno wayo berpere wakuberichani ngata ngeyo genu ne banda pe ento ki nge ni poison pien yat kake miyo ki dano neo dano yoro inen yat makai monya tuke chero go i komi la wan chel tek do donyi remu chero wa damwi chero kam pat mo kene iponi dong pero mo yue no de to chiman Museveni wa la cho ma ke luoni kere tanyini kite bot en ka wa en mer lokere mabe kon ka jale okwaro umiere ki kella choni bore by force ki kaba unyo makome madong kwane orwenyoko ki en gina ke wani dead or alive ni ki te nkere tanyi bore kanyo kwa unyope kwa kapo ye charbor Museveni pibere ineno gin mo kere manu acha olore ye ena by election Museveni gitika wachi ene dua bier modonge eni memo alibario ke piero bechelli eni emiere nene by election utime i district angwen mono tika wachi i area pa MPs panu omiere kinene MPs mo ke kwanyo ki yo me kore mugono ke kwanyo ko ge kwanya tika meti MPs me NRM mo mete adeda inano John chungi cholba petika metu jo down chol senyo nyigini jui no Museveni tika parne mier ke kwanyo senyo nyigi mier ke kwanyo ko pien Museveni pe mier jo mariak pe mier down mano wigi tiu pien challenging wore mane mo bera papangi nano wore ni en ku bere chane ne tiu ki tekom ke kenni pien wie pe tiu pe riek po kwan peti gi ma wore ni romote mo ne pere kene ma pe won na o mago di chi ene ende mare de te nano down ma pe tuarte mo jemi pere kene so by elections angwen imwaga en mudongi ki by karma o 2031 gimero by election a para biero manyutni dano me national unity platform me constituency a para biero miere ke kwan ko gero unyo ke kwan gi yo me court mano ke biter ke wai jono kwalo kuini makun Museveni ke kwalo kuijui neno so ka giter gi court ke ram kwan gi go ke gere ki be member of parliament neno manyuti down solo kere tanyigini yo gidong en unyo kwoge ineno Museveni pe miero down ma challenging wore so I'm saying that there will be 4 by-elections by the end of this year 2026 in constituencies of opposition especially National Unity Platform of course and then by 2031 they're saying there will be 17 by-elections completed either by way of court or by getting rid of them through poison like they normally do so look for that. There will be those, and let me, we'll know about them as they happen. But that's their plan. Sometimes when we say these things, it doesn't mean it will happen as we say them. Sometimes they'll take a break and make changes to what they're doing, or cancel it altogether. I had some people ask me about the bombings in that I talked about. So let me just say this about that. When we talk about certain things like that, okay? It is the fact that it goes out, the fact that it's shared internationally, the fact that if it does happen, the Western world will not believe Museveni. He will likely change his moves. He will likely not do those things. We bring this information so that people don't get hurt. I don't want to see that 2021 thing happen again when people were watching a game and there were bomb blasts everywhere. I don't want to see that. That is the reason I bring information like this. If I have it, if I know about it, I will share it. But get this, the SFC soldiers who were told to complete this mission, okay? The ones who were told to go and do that bombing thing were all taken by the Museveni people and have not been seen since. I feel bad that that has happened to them, but I also feel like they should not be complicit to activities like those. Atika wachi la wo maja kero gene post video i Facebook kona wachi Museveni tika mieto keto bomb kama jua matia na yano dilo asino ye tiye guchoka ye ka waji gena kumeno petere ni omiero teme ana waji wek dano ogwoke wek ngo topo teme kira yano teme 2021 majo bere na yano dilo kinego gede da ki bombi kun Museveni no wachi al-Shabaab kun no ana yo setting bomb ene ana waji loke ene wek dano po wane ineno so wachi loke ene kina mu kene weko job ba Museveni gi pero mu mede ki tij mani machilo ni pieno don wan wa kero loke wako ka don ko wachi gi tim gini ni chalo dire ni report ko bino news oberwata ki mewa ma ukati la woni chino ineno ni ngo Logini po be beda da ngata ba no ye pere. Dongi no ne ki be kwaro ge da. Ine anwe. Chi eno wero wan wakati ki loke enini. Ka boke wo dano ma SFC ma ki orgi ni ku chat buten teach enini. Ingeni John yani weng Museveni ma ko we. O ma ko to yo ma wa ku be chan pe pia ki nano ke. Man tim me jui imon kacha dano ma wan na imon duong ma pe ram wachu ne. Ma tek ki orgi mission tek mission no katu waro. Ki wow jocha ki toge ko man pa nge pingo SFC pero mo nanu gina tika te me kom tu luwotgi tie dan mo mal ka lok ka orgi mission man lok man okati ki mago ki tweyo ge ko jomo ke ando neno ge no gu wan nego jomo ke an peke medi nano ge tie dan ma wonu tie kenyu mano wari butika tiji SFC pedo neno manaka kar mo ni mo kar ngech bere po bi neno pian mo ki wow ge acid mo ki deo ge ko boki now ke ya be don peki dukiliel inam so ana wadu lock piano wa nge pel beri popo trap ma megini inam so anyway Museveni and his people view National Unity Platform and its members, you know, they're young, they're youthful. He views that group as the future, a changed Uganda. And that is disturbing to them. That is why you see the cabinet elections. Several of the members of parliament, several of the ministers that have been appointed, he has tried to go younger, to try to combat National Unity Platform youthfulness. But what he doesn't realize is that most Ugandans, 85% of Ugandans are youthful, are youths, because of the systems that he has set in place, where people die of average age of 50, 55, I think it's Ugandans, you know, average age of good life or living. So because of the systems that fail so many people, that is why we have a more youthful population than we do have of seniors. The few seniors that he has that are 55 plus are the ones working in his cabinet, which he has finally dropped. The Okello Riems are busy crying. But these are people who have been in the ministerial position since the 80s. Okay, so you can tell that he's trying to match the National Unity Platform youthfulness because National Unity Platform stands for the future. National Unity, when people see the groups or the representative for National Unity Platform, they see a new Uganda, they see youthfulness, and that is what Museveni is trying to combat. Okay, and they're legitimate, they're honest, they give hope to Ugandans. KCCA, for example, is full of National Unity Platform, young people just ready to work, ready to bring a new Uganda for Ugandans. So it has been disturbing to them, and that is why there's several other changes, and there's going to be more. That is why Museveni wants to eliminate certain people, just so that he can fit in with the people that are in National Unity Platform. So great job, National Unity Platform. Keep up the energy, keep up the good work. You know, let's move forward. Visit Rwanda. Did you know that the Arsenal, one of the reasons why Museveni wanted to bomb one of the Arsenal gatherings for the sports match that they were going to play or watch the other day, is because Museveni, Salim Saleh, and obviously Rwanda have put in a lot of money, billions of Uganda shillings. I think they said 21 billion Uganda shillings was put in by Museveni and his brother into Arsenal campaign of Visit Rwanda. So that campaign was dropped by Arsenal. Arsenal no longer wears the jerseys with Visit Rwanda. Because of the recent, obviously what happened at the White House where President Trump had the Congolese president Tshisekedi have a meeting with Kagame of Rwanda and sign documents to cease fire or to stop the M23 from infiltrating Congo and attacking Congo. Well, that agreement, obviously, whatever was happening went all over the world, and Arsenal dropped the campaign of Visit Rwanda. Now, dropping that campaign created a huge loss for Museveni's family, his brother Salim Saleh, and obviously Rwanda, because whatever they had invested, they had not reaped yet. And you see how, let me just say how false or weird or strange these people are. so they have the campaign of Visit Rwanda, but when the tourists came into Rwanda, they drove them throughout the night into Uganda to come to the tourist attractions and still acted like they're still visiting Rwanda. You know, as much as they have looted Uganda, they have not been able to take away all of Uganda's beauty and all of Uganda's tourist attractions. But they will insist and continue to do certain things. But the hand of God is so powerful because it has been impossible for them to take all the animals. They've taken animals from Karuma Falls, from Kidepo National Park, from Queen Elizabeth National Park, from Chobe National Park, from Karuma, or even the crested cranes they've taken there. But these animals are meant to live in Uganda and they cannot thrive. The giraffes they've taken, the elephants they've taken, but they can't do well because that is not their natural habitat. As God has it, those animals are meant to be in Uganda. So however much they have looted the country of Uganda, it is impossible for those animals to thrive there. So they drive these tourists through the borders of Uganda and Rwanda, bring them into Uganda, and still act like they're continuing with the tourism of Rwanda. Many people have discovered that it's false, and so that has stopped. Visit Rwanda is no longer going to be seen on the Arsenal jerseys or on the trains in Europe or on the buses in Europe anymore because that campaign was dropped. And that is why Museveni wanted to bomb these locations where Ugandans were going to be watching Arsenal, because he does not like what Arsenal stands for anymore because they dropped them. Atika wachi, tie campaign money ma Salim Saleh and Museveni, guker billion aye Piero Wachel, guker billion Piero Wachel. I campaign makilwoni Visit Rwanda. Chena yene gicholo bot Arsenal, moberu team mati Europe. Gukero chene ene weng wek ngo gikero kuno gitika sponsoring campaign mawachi Visit Rwanda ni ubinu lem Rwanda beadida Rwanda kwa leiti ye Rwanda kwa ngoti ye piangu kwalo le ki Uganda karuma keni ki kwalo jem le mapoda ta babungi rigi ngagi ni wengit kwalo ki ter Rwanda. So gitika luongu joma binu kalemo pengi ki Rwanda ki kelo gi Rwanda kuno kikero chalo Europe kacha no batch kikero Visit Rwanda ijaze ka unu ne jaze and chata me odiluni no kikero Visit Rwanda jo Arsenal ko mani kare ma gene loke M23 ni kati maki no ni Kagame itika keto M23 Congo ni M23 ubero monya Kagame gene Museveni President Trump mi Americani oluogi gene Congo le president me Congo ni wachi ubino beri amiti wunu signing kartache ni kunu wunu wajini loin nyo M23 miero ako ki Congo wunu chero chibet gangu pingo wunu tika yelo jome Congo Kagame chero chikero chien tishekeri bano kero chien ento Kagame ter dok lipap umede ako ki lwenyane ngiyo gen wigi tego en gen jod Rwandese ni wigi tego dida Kagame pingo pemede ki lweny wakuberi chani M23 futi kuno M23 ungene obero monya Museveni gene Kagame neno so en log makati machilo kumene owero jome Arsenal obol Rwanda ko ki gene ki campaign ne kuberi chani campaign ne pere ento billion me Uganda Pierre Rio Wiachel gibale Rwanda meno wero dong la wo maja Museveni ye catch pianeno ni Ugandans pingo tilberi Arsenal utia chara nano dilu Arsenal pingo Museveni no wachi abi goyo gi ki bomb wera wachi Al-Shabaab yo goyo gi kita ya in 2021 Museveni ukero bomb chadondo madam Pierre Bero we di kulu tokere Al-Shabaab kwero wachi ne ni gina ye ngo ni gina ye chelo bomben ineno Al-Shabaab kagutemo gimone gien wachi wane watemo no bene gitika wera Al-Shabaab bikare no wachi one po watemo gene lo ma wa wa ngeyo ko ninga ginene po bero Al-Shabaab manyo to bero Museveni ko beri chani Museveni petigi mama rama temune la boy danu ngeno ne pien wa joma en or ni dekte mu gena tika wachi gena tika or gini meno no wa wi atong gena ne pingo joma en or ni pedo lok gini tung bodge ineno won lo mon Uganda kong do konwa do ki oru ka temu jema tata pingo pe lok gini tung kacha ineno Anpe amaru gin lok me lwen ki ngongo git ento Johnny Doram wi wow kitim ginining, inano. Jui no getiki plan machilo. Plan, anabi what you plan, mokane, weng chilo. So, campaign we visit Rwanda ni, donc pere, chiene give chero chito, pego gama yan chiene mano gitamni gigamani. Pien, lulim lobo kago pien Rwanda, kikelugi idiwo ki droyogi kikelugi Uganda. Pien, jeme me anana ti Uganda ye. Koma go kwalo lei go okunu ta. Pien ruba pokero gi kunu. Ineno, ti lei mogo makwo kamukene kama gen ruba okero gi yeni keken makai kwanyu ri kikama en kwa ye chobe kacha. Itero ri Rwanda. Ibi noni ri ni ano botaro pien koyo kwango nyocheng no perwate kikom ri mano ri no da kwene Uganda ichobe kacha. So gine yana tika chungu wigi yako ineno ruba kitiche Johnny don gutemo kwalo Uganda madon gutemo gimo keken magitwaro temo ne ento kwalo Uganda ungayo gyo pe kwale pe giro mutingu lobo wa lobo gu kwalo ba lobo na wunu perie gene kwale yata kwa ngoni lobo kitingu kibere kilori kite Rwanda ento pe nywalo gimo pien lobo en Uganda ruba yubo pi Uganda neno en gino weko Johnny Chwingi wang dog wang juini. Pien petie gimo magukwalo macher kuokuno. I'm saying that everything that they've endeavored to steal from Uganda does not thrive in Rwanda. Even the coffee that they brand, Rwandese coffee that they take from Uganda, they cannot transplant successfully coffee plants from Uganda and have them thrive in Rwanda because God made for certain plants to exist in certain places. That is why cactus grows in deserts and cactus does not grow in tropical climate. That is why palm trees are in certain places and palm trees are not in certain places because God meant for it that way. It is beyond our thinking. It is beyond what we can imagine that certain things are in certain places because they're meant to be there. And this is what pisses them off because they cannot transplant Uganda. They've tried. If they could have done it, by now, we would have no place called Uganda. They would have transplanted. So now what they're trying to do is to pour themselves onto Uganda and force their leadership and power on top of Ugandans so that Ugandans will diminish. But that is impossible. Like I said, God meant for Uganda to be where it is with the people born there to exist there. There is no human being that can change that. And they don't understand that. So we must fight. We must continue doing what we have to do. Atika wachi, pegiromu kwalo wan Uganda no weng meter wa Rwanda. Eni petwere. Gitamni mierdongi nyonyo wiwa. Ma eni bene po bitwere pianru ba kita no eno yubo kere. Ena ye kito beberu kere. Eni eno naki kere genaru ba kere chunya ena logo anyway. An bena po eni gini dong tika wachi lokba amali lokba ibere amalo kom ana wachi buko berisha kaya da kani gineni ni atika temne pian mi achene uno patemo ento ruba okere chunya en wega tika wachi woni tija mi mo mano wana dana ni po abinyan Bobby Wine and Matieni Chagulanyi Sentamu tie pian ruba okere gini chunye mapebi lokeni. I'm saying His Excellency Chagulanyi Sentamu is doing what it does because he must do what it is because God put it in him. There is no way that it's going to be different. I'm doing this because somehow it's in my heart. It was given to me to do. I was given the ability to do. If you think that I'm doing this for any personal gain, financial gain, you're wrong because I'm not. It is in my heart to do. That is what these people don't understand. They force everything. That is why Muhoozi must exert force on anything because it is not natural or naturally occurring. If Muhoozi was meant to be the successor in Uganda, it would happen without any force. But it's not. That's why I'm here. That's why there's other people everywhere. So no matter what they do, even if they put Visit Rwanda on the United States flag, even though which will never happen, by the way, no matter what they do, it will not succeed because it was not meant to be. Not meant to be. Okay? Next thing is DEOs and RDCs. So the next plan for them is to try to destroy, everybody's asking me about the speaker, former speaker Anita Among. I'm going to get to that before I end the video today, so just give me some time. I will get to Anita Among, okay? I want to finish the list of items here. The next thing they want to destroy is education, to just tilt it a little bit lower. Education standards for Ugandan children and education and school owners that are Ugandan born. They're trying to make sure they're out of business. They don't have the schools, or the schools decline in performance and all of that. Obviously, you have seen that Museveni has pronounced his wife, who is not here physically. Okay, let's say Janet Museveni is alive. Okay, it has been at least 6 months that she has not been seen, not 6, let's say 5 months. Let's say 4 months. It's been 4 months that we have not seen Janet Museveni anywhere. We have not seen her walking by. We have not seen her saying anything. We have not seen her come out on Museveni's swearing in ceremony. We have not seen Janet Museveni anywhere. But I can tell you that Museveni still nominated his wife as the Minister of Education, despite rumors that she's dead, despite rumors that she's incapable, incapacitated, despite despite the fact that we have not seen her. That is how much they've manipulated a country that should succeed and be on its own. We have several eligible people to lead the Ministry of Education. We have several educated. In fact, Uganda is one of the most educated countries in Uganda. Makerere University used to be one of the best universities in Africa, where we fed into schools like Cambridge, Oxford, and everywhere else in the world. When Museveni came, he made sure to dial that down because his group were uneducated and they did not want competition. Atika wachi kuberichani plan gitieni o miaragine ne guerrero gine kwan I Uganda. Gine ne joma lu gine wegi gang kwani mati annually me Uganda o miaragine ne kilor gang kwani gyogo. Yes, Kevin, I'll speak about that too. Sorry, when I watch the comment section, sometimes I'm thrown off, but keep them coming. I'll answer as we go. Joma standard me gankwan me level weng me Uganda miarakinene ki duago pende da. Kuberichani kuna dano lute mogo chere gankwan wala bombati we outkwane. Ki miete ubed madok raj loy enne ke go. Joma tie ki gankwan mati jo Uganda miarakinene ki kwanyo license gyogo nyo ki ket wel madom mano gen petwer chulune neno. So manyuti kirana ti wachne nene Uganda watie ki kwan mala maloyo uno ilobo Africa weng. Makun Uganda makerere uberno university ikarpa boregi ikarpa mingi makere no ber university na machel na mario ilobo Africa weng. Mano jo mauti kwan makerere kitero gi ilobo wa chalo Oxford piano standard gi rara kuno. Kuberi chawani inoni grade mekwan unyo standard mekwan I Uganda tika doping jui karma Museveni donyo Uganda kuman uneno ni standard megan kwan piano no ni Uganda wigi yora deda choma riaga deda miere nene e balo enne go pian gien ria yela mati birni pepe na gunyan wa gankwan pegi ngeke gankwan chal kere chu no ni miere non dano miere dwok di wi dano go wegi dor go bed yot o wer ke tor gankwani and the nano kero down a child minister of education. Okwano girepi 3 ena eke miyo ni bed minister megan kwan. Karma Janet bino child minister megan kwane. Museveni gunoni certificate pa jomo kwano duong egere imakere kacha. Museveni pingope wang and office pa registrar mati makere nyo. O wow history o weng ba certificate o weng. Pien karma dong Janet donyo child minister megan kwane. Well, don't show certificate any come. One nail get a certificate you get in Nasa road way. Don't get choya mera choya kun poki wari o kilurem. We are in non position ka weng. Tie jo mogo make chwalo gi mo be Rwandese maybe ambassador wa. Pegging a walo. Pegging it mogo tip for you tigi key appointment madon care gi Mano wigi peti kuperichani and we are water Museveni. One miero mak gi money ka di chen watch it and long in the mak en. Mam kun di wa cheni no put pia we oh yeah. Now, Jochalu mi ma pegu kwana malu kwa diang magi mo gi peke ento gimete gi to Uganda. Malobo Uganda ni. Gimme pien gingeni Ugandans one we were you one were yeah. Gimo ekena mi okay garmo me Uganda. Obekere teach obenana yone bonen. Obek eno wero anoni la wo maja foot kelu down ni Minister of Education. Down ni pia waneno dueda ngwen kulu. Okay, kete down ni come kwa pota. Due ya ngwen. Minister megan kwan po neno. Sat result kati kono es ngo. Result kati Minister po neno gangkwan ke wow onyum ki wachila nem cha onyum cha rutine down luteno gaba. Minister of Education po winyu duane. Gangkwan make wow duanta po winyu duan Minister of Education. Certificate ki pronouncing graduation called pass out kongo. Po neno Minister of Education. Ento cabinet ki noni Minister of Education miera puru bed en dago motani Janet Museveni. Makome peni ana yeki bikero kundano Uganda mokwano duan ta. Down mokwano duan ta. We have several educated Ugandans who can take on the Ministry of Education and run with it and make it successful and make it change the lives of Ugandans. But Museveni must put his wife, who is not here, who is presumed dead, must be the one in that position because it is how he does things. Uganda, if we are not upset about things like that, I don't know what will. Because the more we sit and watch, the worse things will get. Because Museveni teases us before he produces the ultimate. Okay? He let Janet hold that position for the previous 4 months, even if we never saw her. But since nobody complained as much, he still continued to nominate her as the cabinet minister for education. This is what they do. And that is why if we don't pay attention, we will never catch on. I pay attention because I want to catch on to things like this. It is not fair. We have several educated Ugandans who can take over the Ministry of Education and make it a success. A success. It doesn't have to be his wife. Museveni's wife doesn't have to be the Minister of Education. Museveni's son does not have to be Chief of Defense Forces. No. Museveni's daughter does not have to be the leader of religious sects in Uganda. Museveni's son-in-law does not have to be, Karujire, does not have to be the overall of the judicial system. This has made, and now they've done something new where they've hired the minister appointed into the Foreign Affairs Office is a Rwandese, Canadian, and whatever Ugandan. About being Ugandan is super questionable, okay? But this is somebody who they have given the entire immigration office. I'm talking national IDs. He's going to be the one printing them and authorizing them. He's the one who authorizes passports and IDs and travel documents. He is the internal minister of affairs. Internal minister of affairs. That means Rwandese will get passports whether they are born today, yesterday, or going to be born 5 years from now. It doesn't matter. We are going to have an uncontrolled, excessive printing of national IDs, passports for these Rwandese people for as long as this guy is still the Minister of Internal Affairs. The whole country of Rwanda can possess Ugandan passports, born or not. I mean, they can even say, my kid, who I'm going to have, if I have a boy or a girl, I'm going to pick these names. I'm just going to get a passport now for Uganda. Because they all know that they rely on Uganda. Not much happens in Rwanda. For a tiny country like it is, there are a group of people that if they could believe in themselves, I think they would do good for themselves. Honestly, I really do think that Rwanda, if they put in all the effort in their country with what they have, because God has a way, when he gives you something, he knows why. I think they do well. But the fact that they're trying to do this wrong thing, they can't succeed. They will not. And that's what bothers them and makes them so hateful and mean, is because they're failing at forcefully doing something that doesn't work. And it won't. See? So anyway, next thing. So education, let me speak about that. All DEOs and RDCs are going to be required to be Rwandese. District education officers will be Rwandese and RDCs will be Rwandese. And their job, remember when they had to register all students with IMIS and IDs and all of that? Those were to gather information about which schools kids are going to and who owns those schools and how the parents fare. So they're going to figure out a way to shut down Ugandan-owned schools by means of saying you don't have this, you don't have that, because the Rwandese counterparts already have existing excellent schools with all amenities. I'm talking whatever you can think of. The owners who are from Rwanda already set up schools with unbelievable amenities. Now with those, it'll be easy to get, okay, Ugandans who are participating in this area of education to be kicked out of the business. Somehow there will be a way to say your school doesn't have a field, your school doesn't have this, or there will be high fees to pay. Tuition fees will go super high because they're going to set them up and make sure that those schools run out of business so that these Rwandese people continue successfully run this education thing and intentionally make education even worse. They will lower standards. They will require less. They will produce less, which means a generation or a few generations will come up with nothing. Remember, their children go to certain schools. Not all schools have Rwandese children. No. Their children go to certain schools because they're fully funded and they have all the funds. They have. Rwandese do not lack anything. None. As long as they're in Uganda, they're fully funded. So it makes it for indigenous Ugandans to fail by nature of how they set things up. So that's education for you. It looks like I'm going to have to come back later today for Anita Among, but let me finish these items. Gankwani ma tika wachineni, gitika miategi lo gankwan ma beru pa jo mano gitie giaki Uganda. Wek gankwan pa jo ma aki Rwanda, ena yo dong. Pien ko beri chane, inem jo ma aki Rwanda no gitiki chane jemi weng. Chane ka pe charbot salim saliki miyo chana mia. Ka chane pe bot gi Museveni gi miyo chana mia. Eno wel Rwandese gina yu poko chane charni. Ino la ming moma pe po jo ay walare, ena la poko chane gina ikin gang. Piano gina ye gubiano kichene menano ne gi kwanyo gi moni ni maybe kero maybe jeoni wera gam chane ni. Gina ye ti business mechente. Okay? Churches. They're going to break churches claiming NEMA, especially the Pentecostal churches. All of the ones benefiting from foreign sponsors. You know, there's several of those that have children's homes or have education programs for children that are funded from, you know, good faith people from abroad and all of those. Those people are going to lose their services or their churches because they want to make sure that churches are controlled by Rwandese. You know, there's a thing about Museveni understanding where mind control is most powerful, and spiritually is one of the big ones. That is why all church leaders go to Museveni for brown envelopes. They're on his payroll because they believe, or he believes, that Ugandans will listen. And Ugandans are very faith-based, so that when the pastor or so and so says something, they will believe it and do exactly as they say. So Museveni uses them as his mouthpiece for certain things. Like he said, they must heavily promote Muhoozi because Ugandans have rejected Muhoozi. So he wants the church or interreligious council to preach those messages to get people to like or love Muhoozi, which, like I said, there's so many things you can force, but not that. You can't make someone love somebody because of your opinion, not what they feel. There's a saying that goes that people will always remember how you made them feel, no matter what you do. How they feel is most important. Now, atia wachi, gu wachi kuberi chawa ni miere gine ni church, kori church mogo maki goe bao kin kampala kenyu ko ngongoni. Miere kitugi yako gube wachi nema, nyo gu kero church kama nema tiye mapeye. Church pole beru Pentecostal. Jo ma gina saved kianga gini. Church mogo ma timu business ko matiki organization machalo watoto gi magama chana ki wagoni. Chen kori church eno ne gube laro go pien pegi miete lotino Uganda. Onong kon mo keken kika mo kenne mapat ki kon manonok magno gino bomiuni. Manonok makidwoni crumbs ne. They want to make sure that Ugandan children have no means of getting help from anywhere else in the rest of the world. That's why they will close like babies' homes or charitable organizations or school-funded programs, NGOs and things like that, because like the Watotos and all of those, because they want to make sure that they control the little that comes to Ugandans, to the children, if they get any. Because their main intention is that children of Uganda do not get any, or parents of Uganda do not get any help to get or improve their lives. Chiene madano no mano nok metel tiene gankwan kingongo. Gimiere gineni ene gilor yo nego. Wek blue tieno Uganda unyo generation and mati bilni. Gun pegunong yo me kwa me yupu kwa ge me anyim. Now. This is minor, but it's something. Brick makers or Joma Yubu Gene. Okay, brick makers who are going to be required to have licenses now. As small as that might sound, sometimes it's a livelihood of somebody and that's all they do and that's all they rely on. They're going to be required to apparently get licenses. The Rwandese people are now taking over all quarries where people go and buy stones, where they hit stones or make certain quantity or sizes of stones. Kireka, go down. I'm familiar with that because I remember that place. All the local Ugandans who are in the business of brick making or construction material making, such as stones and quarries and things, they've all been given ownership to Rwandese people, which means Ugandans are now going to be stifled out of those activities. Joma goy gweng nyo joma yubu matafali gini. Don't keep watching miero nong license. Kai goy matafali ni gangi ka chai di ka liu nyo kwene. Kuberi chawa ni dong gube kelu lok ningo. License miere nong. Me gono matafali ni me yupo oti. Okay go kong. Manyuti ni joma tiyu chale kwari. Jo goy gweng chale nanguro ka cha. Unyo kilembe. Tororo kachani don peke biyegi me mede ki tichani pian tichani kita gumayo ke Lake Victoria ki rej mati ye weng ingeni lu mak rej weng ber jo ai Rwanda ke kenwe jo mati Ugandan peke ye ni mak rej Lake Victoria kunyoni. Just like they stopped people from fishing on Lake Victoria and it's all been given to Rwandese, it is now coming down to building materials and construction like quarries or bricklaying companies or people that make bricks to sell to people building things. They're now going to be required licenses. Now, licensing may sound normal or okay, but in a country like Uganda, this is such a small activity that you may be bricklaying just to build your little hut somewhere or home. It's not a big deal. It is not a company size whereby you're making lots of money that you need to get a license. No, it's a small, minute business, not even a business. Maybe you're making bricks for you or breaking rock to build your home. They're prohibiting that because they want you to buy it now. Give me a gweng unyo matafale weng katie unyo ka imir yubo mira chwil ki chingi ki bob ki kitika yenyu yo manongo chana ki yo weng nan. SFCs next. There's been over 70 SFCs who have, I shared a post last night and I said defected. Defected means leaving a military or a country. I think military is the best description. So over 70 SFCs have been leaving the SFC military, whatever, group of Museveni and his family. 70 have left on record in the last few days, and they've left with cash, electronics, ammunitions, or whatever. This is a sign to the Museveni people because it's a concern for them that they're losing loyalty and they're losing security in their camp. I'll tell you what, you down here a bear, Mati SFC Maurin or Rocky Tiki, Gungway, Rocky SFC Competi Chawani. Kun Gingway Manogo Qualo, Chiante, Unyo machine, Unyo Muduro King on Guinea. Because SFCs have witnessed a lot of their partners get abducted, killed, or they've seen them mutilated in the hospitals. Because when Museveni gets upset or suspects somebody of doing something, and I'm talking SFCs, he doesn't wait for the verdict. He acts instantly. So these SFC members are seeing every single day that for a slight mistake or a confusion, Museveni and his people will take these SFCs, punish them. Some of their colleagues they've never seen after being taken away for punishment. Some of them they've seen mutilated in military hospitals, you know, legs cut off or whatever. They do willy-nilly. They don't care what the result is or if you did something or not. So because they're seeing these things firsthand, they're feeling like they're next, which is true. You know, look at Anita Among. It is surprising that after what has happened to Anita Among, Oboth is so excited to follow in her shoes. Literally, he is following and will end up like Anita Among. Typically, he will end up like Anita Among. Okay? Same thing that SFCs and the military are facing. When they see their friends being taken away to be punished, they don't see them coming back. They wonder where they went. There are no graves for these people. They don't know where they are. They don't know what type of punishment they're getting. But the few that they see are mutilated. You know, burned, arms missing, severely punished, crazy, because some are given poison that it alters their mind. So with that fear of what they see, they're leaving the military. I don't blame them. I wish more would do that. I think I watch it, Jome SFC, tika mwechoki Piarabero, group Piarabero, on mwechoki gene, ki teach gi makiloni SFC ni. PN, Museveni kangaramo ba, kabal mo time, en pekuoro mengeno ni anga mo timungoni. Ngarumo eken ma Museveni tike de suspect come, ki mako, ki wono, ki no kene ginano gi anyim, unyo keno kene peginendo lo. Kanyo gunano gi no gi ti odiat chalo mutabika no wi gu balero. Ki no kene ginano gi no ki ngolu kom gi atata. No ki wano gi atata. Ma gene kom ki wi gi ken gi wachu jone. Wanto, necha wati lai madani. Ada dainani in kai nanu gina Museveni timo ki jo mati tim wu in tuaro tamani in pobo oikomi betuare. So jami majoni tika nanu ne kita jo cha timo kere jo mati mon mat aki Uganda kero luore kom lutian mukene giti kario ki mon makonya pe ena dong tika ponu wi Museveni gini pien nene Join dong tika ngwecharo manyuti pien gamente ba Museveni udonyo ki mudoro adada ni Museveni kibikwani ki mudoro peti yo mukane. I'm saying that the fact that Museveni came by the gun, by the barrel of the gun, it is very likely he's going to leave that way. And it will be the people that he's punishing so much, the SFCs who protect him against their wishes, against their abilities, against everything else that Museveni does to Ugandans. The same people he punishes viciously will be the same people to bring upon his downfall. I have no doubt about that. Museveni will not go by anything else, not an election. And we're trying peaceful means. Everything we're doing is peaceful. But the way he's treating those people on the inside, I kid you not, there will be a time that we will hear breaking news that the former president of Uganda is no longer the president of Uganda. I have no doubt about that. Like I said, they're forcing every scenario. It is not genuine. They have no follow-up on what they're going to try or do. That's a dangerous place to be. Atika wachi jami ma Museveni timu ki come down ni don't tika olu come down ho. Museveni obiano ki mudogo. Adeda ene ne kibikwanyu ki mudogo. Pian jami ma entika timu ne kom lumo. Inke go ki kuberichawa ni o both. Uloboko speaker among kun chayo ben among kun ngeyu genatika timu kom among. Ini tamu ni o both the jale boberu pat kipa Anita Mong. Speaker D mado iyo mapopore. How many speakers have left with a less honorable discharge? Every single one of them, all of them, not honorable discharge. Only Ugandans will end up, maybe Sekandi. Sekandi is still alive because Sekandi lives like he doesn't exist. He was a speaker of parliament. He did everything Museveni, did not ruffle any feathers, did not care about Ugandans, did not know whether it was AM or PM. That was Sekandi, and he's here. Anybody who's sharp or knows what they should do on their job as it is required does not leave honorably. No. Look at Kadaga. She doesn't look okay. Is it normal? No. No. None of them leave and still thrive and are honorable, and we can talk to them about how they did things so they can help the next generation. None. Every new speaker comes with a totally new script, like a new book, like a new level. A new script on how to run things. It's never about how it has been run for years. No. Museveni gives them a new one. I'm going to read to you what the bills that are required by that are required to be passed by both, unknowing, unbeknownst of his future. I know he knows what his future looks like. I kid you not. Several years from now, you'll tell me that I might have been right, because Oboth is going to end up worse than Anita Among, and I will speak about Anita Among later on. Should I go into Anita Among, or should we start that later? I have to be somewhere, but I will be back later today because I've not finished. But I want you to be hopeful, because what the Musevenis are doing is forceful. It's forceful and not natural and not designed by God for Uganda. Atika wachi, amiti po ubet kunungeni Uganda boloke. PM Jami ma Museveni gitika timune kuberichawani. Jami makitika temune ki ditch. Pe jami maruba yo yoboni mi arubetie Uganda. Dok jami ti magiti temune ni pao bi kwa pao bi riba na Uganda. Wona makitika wona kere ki jo mati mon makilwoni SFC ni. Angeyo ni Museveni keto biyono kere ki mudogo ni. Obe abe na ki mudogo. Yan dano do all. Dano all. Chimiera chere abidugu koni ki loko Anita Among ki jami mokane ma metenyi. Okay, I will see you later. I will come back with Anita Among. I know everyone wants to hear, but I will come back. It's a lengthy episode, so I'll come back with that later. I love you all so much. I do, and keep the hope alive. Change is coming, and we're right where we are supposed to be. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. Hi everyone. Amor wunduchu. Anya lady. Amor Alison. I take a beautiful UK US. Good afternoon, good morning, good afternoon. My name is Lady Winnie. I'm coming to you from the United States. I was here earlier today. Neto, I could not say your name correctly. I hope I didn't butcher it. BSOPT. How do you say that? Maybe send me a clip with it. I couldn't pronounce it well, and I don't want to mess it up. Neto? A Neto? That is something. Thank you for coming. Thank you. This is Lady Winnie. I came earlier this morning, but I had to break the video into two and come back with the most interesting part, which most people have been asking me to speak about. For nan and nenen udiko ko abiro well kawaji udiko no udiko mabora kan bien ko beri chao ni kibora kan cha bungwen me utiano agano ni ilobo kama pat to twale Uganda ko beri cha no di wode da pull down banana video and ni gwa udiko nyo ka chao karo dire mano dire ma pengaru eni for bino adugo pianti pat money madam tika penya pera deda loko manita among speaker ma ya uberu speaker ma parliament. I'm back to start or begin with Anita Among, the previous speaker of parliament of Uganda. The story about Anita Among is a perfect description of what they call you know, you can call it greed, you can call it excitement, you can call it you know, like animals being led to the butcher. Okay, that position of speakership, obviously there has never been an honorable discharge of somebody who has left that position and continued to live on and enjoyed their life and had their grandchildren, raised their grandchildren, blah, blah, blah. Every speaker of parliament has left limping, dead, or like Sekandi, who we don't know if he's here or not. Sekandi has lived through the speakership and afterward because he never used his mind, he never exhausted his expertise, he never argued with anybody, never argued for anybody. Sekandi just existed. And that's what Museveni likes. It's like Nabanja being prime minister or elected newly prime minister. It is not because she adds any value. It's because she fills the position. That is all Museveni wants. Okay? Being a speaker of parliament did not mean that Anita Among had the powers of a speaker of parliament. Okay? Anita Among filled the position of speakership of parliament, but truly Tayewa, who is her assistant, was the main actor as a speaker. And Tayewa took note of everything Anita Among did and never cautioned her about certain decisions she was making. Looked on while he reported consistently to his bosses, the Museveni people. And when it was time to kick the ladder, you know, he was part of it to make sure that that happened successfully. Okay? So Anita Among should have known, I'm sure she knew, because of the mysteries from the passing of Jacob Oulanya, the late, the previous Speaker of Parliament. His expression of what happened to him before he died. If anything, Anita knew firsthand that there was suspicion surrounding his passing. That was good enough for her to even tread softer, with less pride, with less power, with less command, and with keeping useful or good Ugandans by her side. But what Anita did was completely opposite.
when Anita joined the NRM, she thought she had made it in life. Anita Mong detached from people who could have been supporting her. As a human being, I feel bad for Anita Mong. But as a person of change, a change wanter, a change lover, a humanitarian person, somebody who cares about another human being and their well-being, I do not necessarily feel compelled to feel bad as I would for anybody else because of the things Anita Among did as a human being. So with that precedence, everything that is happening to Anita Among as a human being is wrong. But because of her actions, she earned it. Because she thought she was one of them. That she ended up trumping over her own people who would eventually be somewhat in support of her or try to save her life. Anita abused even her own people from Teso. Anita Among made it that an opponent cannot even think twice about suggesting, about dreaming, about running against her. You know, if she was so confident about winning, why wouldn't she just let the other lady run? So Anita Among was in line like animals are headed to the butcher, and she saw what happened to the animals ahead of her, but she thought it was different. She thought she was different. She thought Museveni calling her my child, my daughter, my whatever, meant anything. She never learned from all the previous people. Okay? So it is difficult. Atika wachi, lokomanita Among loketek. Kadana apar per machalu dano. Ento chwako dano makilwoni Anita Among Terade da pien, ikar Anita Among tie ki ti loch. Anita Among nge ni jo ma cherry position ni meberu speaker ni. Kwogi beberu marom kagu ki berikom me speaker ni. Jo mugu kwogi rwen, jo mugu kadaga kuberichani kai nem tika tumchalu chabon. Jo mugu kagu nugi tia tata. Sekandi uberu kindana rio unyo adek mau ero putie. Pian sekandi beri waipe no. Sekandi ki office me parliament kacha. Gimo ke ken maladir lobo mero no temo keta ye merne. Sekandi beri wai konu tie konu pe kwa nenu ping kwa penenu ping kwa yiro ding ko winyulo. Sekandi uberi wai pere. Enke na Museveni mero eno. Eno we prime minister me Uganda kiloni na banjani. Uberu down ma wiye keken pero mutamu o jemi matie makwaro lobo Uganda ki position nani. Ngena Museveni mero ena ye ketu chal dano. I position. Work position upongoro. Petere ni mero joma binu katich. I position ge. Ineno. Chwaka Anita beri wai chwako le mano rie line. Chalo factory wako kan factory ne mogo no factory madon. Le yikekeru ge line kun kinyuru ni any line yani le mena madep. Kitika charma kitika ngologe me yupo en chame ni. Wale mena mario pero motamni ke kwete doctrine. Mete mera nyim. Akelo analogy en ni pian Anita oneno kita jo mau ki position enini gu ma pegu beti beru dana dore. Kadaga enu kuberichani kai neno. Kuone beri wai bene pere. Ineno. Anita uberi position eni matamni ende oro. Magi moke ken majoni waju ire engini tipat kom jochani. Grandis. Manita worku do wai la kwa diang balalo. Madano maut etani gichungi bokeri akacha Anita ubi mako nyako mani mo chung chalu nupe. Ki gwaro nyako ni diwoni ano mo. En maki abducting dano ki kelu drone ki delo dano drone ni. Ki kwanyo nyako ni mano chung pin nup. Ki delo ki teru ko ki teru kwane urwe nyako kong ni anadi. No mono ke chero ke wono ke timo dano tata. Kaki duku nyao ni tek nyao ni dugu kitero ka lok me wachu ngomo time nyao ni wachi anito bero antina an kom gina chung eni dong pabi chung peda bi miero chung jo FDC magu chero ko ni ke cher ka chono nyingi I dog gate by electoral commission pegu donye electoral commission bukedia anita among po ye ni dana omiere gutam pigi kengi gu eta bena gu chung machalo mej maruba miyo metela ara mo wachi amero chung kamone ngata miero ge abene pe ka dong yetie in made waiki mari tutwale ibe no kui 100% ayela mo kan pe ento anita pe meti wadana ma miero chung ena mi rachi. The problem with Anita was that even those who aspired as a dream of their own that God put in their heart, that Anita made sure that dream was dimmed. The lady from National Unity Platform who aspired to run for office against Anita in Bukedia. Anita took that woman in a drone in the night. They drove around with her like they do National Unity Platform supporters. I don't know if she's tortured or what. When she came out, she couldn't speak about what truly happened. All she did was hand over and say she was not going to run anymore. The FDC people in Bukedia who tried to go and register and themselves as they couldn't even get through the gate. Jo FDC people I think even on election day in Bukedia, Anita Among made sure that the gates were closed to say that they are no longer having anybody going in to vote anymore. Anita made sure that she was unopposed by force. If you're so good, let people challenge you so that we know that you're really great and you made it all by yourself. So Anita mo nano ni ngatu mo kan mi arpo ya taka chung kere Bukedia kacha o chung NP kane. Anita mo po tamni dano mo kane wanigi makonywa pe kiborani. Guak ni mo me biberi wai ni egini. Ma guak bit ni dano guak be konye buchung pere. Me pe pongolu wi Anita. Ineno. Chwa kwa Anita tek pien down chalo Honorable Segirinya gi uberu member of parliament mo karni. Anita mong me ete me wachni Segirinya to member of parliament ba pingo kitika mako kitika wako beri buch pingo loka Segirinya peki nene ye peki loli ye kinen ngoma miera kitimpier wako kat ki buch Segirinya umedi kituo make wono Segirinya deda video ma Segirinya wai do ye don weke nyura wai ukonya duana wi mago ento chel ma wi mago enini po nyut mafura kwa au nyut chel egini ki video egini madam kwana pe madata piano noni pedare. Sorry about that, somebody called me. Segirinya, Honorable Segirinya o merikito Segirinya Museveni ordering Niki Mark Segirinya Kitwe Segirinya MP ba Maki wow private part pa Segirinya ki wow Germany o weng and a book wuni come machoni weng ki wow weng Maki tuju Segirinya ki yad maki kwara ki we yala choni patado ki tuju Segirinya ki yad ma come weng no kwoto kire ma kono topa ko ma Segirinya ki terore ki wachi obone weng do maka oli tinku maini pi para mkaro ki ye mero example la chel ke ken ento luteno nuba di maki marogi ma nita monka ngarimo a senyo nyiko a nika lokom jo mati buchi bet ping 2 by bet ping pay gam lok any kind nano. So I'm saying that Anita Among lived through the previous parliament with a member. This is one example of many. A member of parliament, Segirinya, Honorable Segirinya, who was abducted while being a member of parliament, tortured by the Muhoozis, his private parts burned with fire, acid, whatever they could find, clipped nails with the pliers, all manner of torture, waterboarded, everything, Segirinya, all of that was done to him. To the extent that Segerinya's kidneys and liver became solid that could not pass liquid through. Segerinya was swollen from all manner of poison that was injected in him. And they waited for Segerinya to die. He couldn't. He did not die on their time. Segerinya eventually succumbed to his death. But I'm talking about a member of parliament in Anita Among's parliament. All this went on while Anita was in the big chair. That's one example, just one. Eddie Mutue's scenario, he was picked up, abducted, tortured. Muhoozi came out and said, I have him in my basement. I'm still teaching him Lunyankole. Tortured severely. You can see the pictures. The videos will scare the heck out of you. All that happened under Anita's nose. While Anita stands with a stick like Emulalo. While Anita parades thousands of heads of cows because she feels like she has arrived and she's one of them. I'm sorry. I am here not because I am benefiting in any way to say anything about this. I am saying this because those of you who are headed Anita's way, or both and so on and so forth, you know that you are headed for the butcher, but you are just tugging along and fending off or flagging off anybody who has a different opinion than the one you have from Debalalo. Be mindful. Because when the time comes to what Anita Among is going through, it is hard to defend her. I'm not lying to you. I'm a human being. I feel her pain. But I can tell you that because of Segirinya, because of Eddie Mutwe, because of Frank Senteza, because of Olivia Lutaya, because of Achileo Chivumbi, because of Alex Waiswa Mufumbiro, because of Kavuma, the beginning of all this, because of all the National Unity Platform supporters, those who are in the line of fire, who just were not even supporting Noop, but a child on the streets who is being sent by his mother across to go and do some business is caught in the crossfire because they're trying to raid Noop and they're trying to raid all of these things that Museveni tries to do to belittle or to destroy Noop. Anita watched. Anita watched. I am not sorry because of that. I'm sorry. I am so sorry. I'm a human being, but I am also a human being for the ones who were tortured and gone. While Anita watched, and yet she had the powers to not give her any pity. Atika wachi an nana berni. Chunya apara Anita chalu dana ento paro mutimu gimoke ken ko beri chawani me konyu ne ki gina dong tika te me kom enni pien dana moto pien Anita uberu tie kun tie ki yo me konyu gi uberu pol down chalo honorable Segirinya mo beru MP maroma ki Anita ni down chalo Frank Senteza ma uberu bodyguard pa Bobby Wine pepe mero chu Lumon mutoka mon pa Museveni gu goy jali pa ku metine ne down chalo Eddie Mutwe wunu neno kita ki ma okere Eddie Mutwe ma ki wano ma Muhoozi ukati kunwachi atika gono ne atika fonyu ne ki leb nyankole ma Eddie Mutwe ki goy ma peramu wa wat ma wane wa kaberu ma peg ramu teto ne tie down ma Museveni gu ngunu tian ge oli tup tie down ma ki ngunu chingi la cho ma tie ki chelo wan ku berja ti US kan ki chelo wan ki mudo jal mama ko camera pa Bobby Wine ti US ka eni ikar me election me campaign mu kare ki tu ki chelo wi kan ma wi o mero elero rubanyo wa ko berja ni ngate ne ko jami eni ni wel ti me kare ma Anita Among tie kun tie ki yo meneno ni kari ni dong ni Museveni gi mero lodge en ron wa ujone utimbe au ko tim kuman ula kong down unyo kariti inero the power I'm saying that Anita Among has is not entirely the power to speak or do things. Anita Among, now that we know, was loaded with cash. her basement or containers or whatever. Anita had the powers to move certain things, not because Museveni gave her permission, but because they were right, and she might have been protected. Because nature has a way, karma comes back around. Anita mong no tiki chene mapekwane. Kawe kwan kichi kumene pe kwan tum. Kori chene makide yana Anita no romu teach kere. Down matie pero ento Anita kati ngulu la medicum down kom chana down ti down nani. Of all the suffering there was, she added to their pain in sarcasms, in all manner of responses. When Joel Senyonyi spoke, she had one-liners that were just stinky because she has the power. And guess what has happened to Anita? She has faced and is facing the ultimate punishment from the same people whom she let punish and continuously torture and harass National Unity Platform supporters. Anita Among, from the time that she was, they started to raid her home. When they picked up Anita Among, she ended up in the fridge. The same fridge which the two gentlemen from Kenya who came to support Bobby Wine were put in. Apparently, there is a temperature-controlled home. I don't know if it's a basement of Muhoozi or somewhere, Muhoozi's homes or whatever, where they keep the temperature very low, dangerously low, that you could actually get hurt from being too cold and pass out. But the body has a way of warming up or creating heat, so some people survive. That's why some people can live for a certain time in the wild without dying from natural causes. Atika wachi Anita karma kichao yenyu gange kono ti kono kwalchana kwa ngongoni. Niene no makigama Anita ni kitero kama Muhoozi wachi tikere ki fridge. Fridge anu beru kamoni ma ot moni tie ma luma buj duan deda ma buj ma Muhoozi gi ma ko manope koridano ma logo unyo dano ma tie ki mati opposition ni unyo chilama winyi chilam ti kunu pe yenyu chilam ti pange pingo Johnny Deck chilama deda makun ki wachi chao melega ngi chilam lego one beach icha melega chok basement wang mo ponke down chok down mi ngwen kuluni down wang cha melega no ki loke ki tikati mu kori lega pasilame en make ki kulle kunyo ki gene penge down pull down manotie en fridge ene no ki tikati mu kori gene ene no ki tika lega pien man nyurni chilama pola dida tie kuno inano majo ma aki Kenya ni gitero ko wachi down ma tie basement pam igene fridge pam Muhoozi cha down duon deda ti down ma no don wa yenyu ma don be watam ni ko gi pe mu kena ti kuno down mo guma ki go gin ma no gu wile no gu loka ko gu loka ma ka ke lu gi wa jo gi ron kwer ni gen ko chala cho ma ni mogumia ma ki ma ko Muhoozi gu ma ko gu chitwe Congo do ko releasing piano cho book kun book any waju kita Museveni gi kwa kere ki tim gi marajuni Mugumia ki ma ki wachi Mugumia tie tengo fridge kacha any fridge no ma Anita Among berieni kitera Anita Among kama yang Anita Among chayo kama Anita Among wachi jopa nupti e beni. Anita Among was taken to the place that she normally did not care about when they spoke about new people being there in the fridge, and everything that was done to National Unity Platform supporters or people of the likes, which I heard there's lots of Muslims. Hold on 1 minute. So I understand in that the fridge, the temperatures are severely low, dangerously low, that somebody of abnormal, if you have issues with heat and cold, you might suffer or you might not even survive it. So Anita Among was taken there from her house after they came and raided and abducted her. They did all manner of things to her. All manner of things you can imagine. All manner. I'm talking all the people who had somehow assumed or wanted to or would have liked to have a bit of her. All these Rwandese men, one day, you know, everybody came and as they please. You want to use the front door, you want to use the back door for children around. Whatever they wanted to do to Anita Among, they have done. All men who are ready, if you're sick, not sick, whatever the case might be, all these Rwandese men used Anita Among in the fridge. Because you know that is what they do to a lot of the female prisoners, even the male ones, because somehow Museveni believes in dominancy or sexual dominance over people or prisoners, people they hold, which is something that they exercised on Anita. If Anita comes out of that place alive, maybe she will speak. It is possible that they may discard her because they don't want her to speak. Not just speak about the things that they did to her, but to speak about the other things that they did together for the goodness of Museveni telling her, do this and that for my sake. You also know that Anita Among is the only sanctioned member of parliament at that time, a speaker of parliament at the time. And yet, Tayewa and Amongen have worked together, especially the fact that Tayewa being a Rwandese, he was the head. Anita Among just filled that position. All decisions and tricks and all of that were employed or brought to the table or executed by Tayewa, which is common. It is a common thing now. Even in the military, they will bring you a junior SFC of 17 or 18 years old. Even in the military and police, they bring a little guy. Today, you know, he's hired and whatever, he's quickly risen through the ranks. Next thing you know, that little junior person who came yesterday is the one who makes decisions for you to finally execute. As a Ugandan, you will not have power to do anything until this little guy who came yesterday says this is the way it should go, or seconds your idea. That is what happened with Anita Among's position. So it is possible that she may have come out of the fridge, but it will be a while before we see Anita Among, if we do, because of what they have done to her. You remember when Eddie Mutwe was in detention with Muhoozi at Muhoozi's home, they could not bring him out early until he had healed from some of the signs of atrocity, signs of torture on him. So everything they could do to Anita Among, they did. The time Anita Among came out and wrote something on her Twitter or X account saying that that she's withdrawing from the post of speakership, Anita Among was still in the fridge. They had tortured her so much. They asked her forcefully, amidst a lot of terror, to write that thing and share it. Atika wachi, manaka kimaka Anita Among uberi fridge mani ma kita wachi woni. Anita Among uberi kunuma choma aki Rwanda oti komanita iyomo keken ma inromo tamune. Choma tiu kere kilong, choma tiu kere the same way duata. Ngati mo ken ma iyo mero ma tamani Anita Among mo koti ni. Cho awinyi ti fridge ludok la bonbo. Ngati mo ken ko ila yo ko ila ngo ko ila mon ko ila nga. Cho mo ke ken donya room kabani tati yeni. Kiberu kere kita yige umero. Jami makitimi kom jopa National Unity Platform mi kitemo wen komanita. Wen pian jome National Unity Platform mi kake maogi tutwale mamone kiberu kedge watata. Joma tiki silim kono pe ki silim ko tiki gonorrhea ko tika nga wen donye kono. Maki balu komanita makonye pe maki para ni Anita karamu kene bere po biko ento ko omiero konki guare we come muko chang kamuko manoki bui ni. Now ki wera manoko ni wera mo don kubedi peko no jemene wenti atata. So Anita Among tie kama ding adeda tweru bedi don ki kwanyo ki kama no ki keri yeni ento pien come no futi ki bu ki ngongo gini pe ki romo kelo ne wako ikarma ni to chwalo message kun waju ni endong baby chung pe speaker ni Anita uno futi fridge kuno mak ulega de dani ukonya umina chimwe ka message andong pa mier bedu speaker gin mak diam nita mong to twal ni wachi in ko iwachi wapingo imiru kwanyu kom me bedu president Uganda kan Anita mong wachi ento imiru kwanyu kom inero o kwayo kija deda kun wachi ni ukonya umina chima waka wachi jo weng ni peda miero bedu speaker peda miero tela moiken pa miero gimoiken anda miero bedu dana la boy gimoiken ka miero kwanyo ko me speaker ni baro kwany kipenyo ni magogo bedu chware o wachi ku ni en pe miero magogo da eni bolu down pien I miero ni Ikwa imir ni magogo gube ka chel wek en imed NRM ki jome Eastern. Imir jome Eastern ma chwako magogo ni gumare bene wek NRM nya wa tu Eastern. Ki penyu bene ki wachi recording mo beru duong ikono ma in beru awinya nita tiki recording ma duong deda. Ma recording jame mugu ma do ma uti meki bot NRM ki kunu ma duong deda. Ento o waju ni kakitimu ki moi kome ena ye ki audios enli ki releasing ki chwal wa robot dano karamana nita mong en bera tani lok mungu ma logo duanya tani karamotoka ne ki carrier speaker office ne ki carrier speaker gange ki kerum speaker wa kamera go weng ma jo pa Museveni ginena Anita mong jemi weng wa lok weng ma Anita mong logo ti recorded tie recording Kipenyo ni pingoti ki chene mapol. O wajni chene eno emiti ikon ki NRM medo. Ento Anita bene ki wajni uberu ka chulu dano mapol. Dano mo kina mo kene keri beno beri opposition. Chalo ikaraman ma oginoti ka geneti campaign ki ngongogi. No inena Anita ochulu pone nero. Ochulu dano katata wek kui o word mabe wek ene chung kene wek ene ebed speaker. Ento na teach paruba we. I watch the carry what dig money ning karuba pobi ye pobi timme. Pange pingo po nyange nane. Anita mo dine me beru speaker yo mo keken dan mo chama jene pa Anita duong mapenduze gi ano kigulu kenyo. Ento Johnny wachi gube binu what bot and jo mo chama chene ki bora ni. Wangu be kibilwonge ko kese ni. Kese ni pe kese matiteli ba. Maki waja ni Anita mong peki ngeu ka obikwo onyo peki ngeu ka obikwo ma ubeberu mabe me akela I court and gitika luor ni kagi weka Anita okaro Anita romo lok maraj magine ma weko gen nen maraj gen mu kene bene Anita romo tieto jami magubera timne gen Museveni gi weko nongo gamente pa Museveni obo nen dok marai loyo kitatikere. I am saying that while she was in the fridge, she apologized amidst a lot of terror and tools facing her. You know, the guns were pointed at her, they were scaring her, they were raping her, they were doing all kinds of things to her. When she did get her phone to make that statement, she did it under a lot of fear and intimidation. Anita Mong also denied being married to Magogo as her official husband. She said the intention of having Magogo was just to have the eastern part of the region join and be happy with NRM because Magogo is from some part of the east. She wanted to bundle it all up. They asked her why she's trying to take over the government and the president's seat. I told you this thing about Anita Mong is not about the money she has. It's about the power that they think she has to become president of Uganda. That is Museveni's main problem. That is the only problem as to why Anita Mong has been treated this way. I'm going to give you another example of somebody else eventually, but let me finish this. They asked Anita how come she talks negatively about the regime that she serves. Apparently, Anita Among's cars are bugged. Her house is bugged. The speaker's office is bugged. Museveni watches her like a toy, especially when he felt threatened. He began to watch Anita Among, and the deputy speaker, Tayebwa, was on top of his game with getting information where it needed to go immediately. That is why Tayebwa is back and Anita Among is in the fridge, or has just left the fridge if she did. The reason you have not seen Anita Among in the public eye is because she's nursing what injuries she got while in the fridge of Muhoozi. And she may not come back the same. You know, with a bleached skin, so many things are thinner, easy to abrase or bruise, easy to burn or tear. We just don't know what state she's in. We don't know. She denies Magogo being her official husband. Also, she denies, they asked her why she has a lot of money and audios in her office. So Anita Among apparently has several other recorded audios that she has given people to release when she does die, or if they do something to her and all of that. So that is also something that they are fearful of. Okay? There is fear that Anita Among may be assassinated because they fear bringing her to court the way she looks. They could assassinate her, or they may let her stay, but stay without being a part of anything or being seen or allowed to speak at all. Okay? They will continuously threaten her. I want to bring to your attention the previous leaders of Uganda who were prominent. Okay, Ugandans who were prominent in leadership positions, who would have become something, but Museveni dimmed their light. And as I mentioned, the speakership position, nobody has come off of that position and stayed the same or lived to their dreams, or whatever the case might be, with what they've earned as being a speaker, except Sekandi. Honorable Kadaga is not the same. As we see it, she's just wasting away every day. Okay? People like Wopakabulo, Francis Ayume, okay? People like Jacob Oulanya, Noble Mayombo. Those people Museveni got rid of when he felt, and it doesn't have to be financial, that he seems threatened. Just by you seeming like people are starting to like you, or your ideas are transformational, Museveni figures out how to get rid of you. That is why Anita Among is in her position right now. What Anita Among could have done, and hopefully the next leaders are going to try to do, is to ally with other Ugandans, because in times like this, we just might be able to help. We might. Itela Madon position Madoni. Wun ko nen kong Germany ba. Ko nen kong anyimu kita jo mo kena ni tika wat kere. Unen bene ni ko kwa ma be ki dan mo kene looking gang ma wundo tamani kado oi position money don kongi peni. Pien ku perichani kaya da Nita Among ku perichani. Dan ma rom konya Nita Among ke ken ena ye His Excellency Chagulanyi Sentamu. Bobby Wine. Anita Among ku perichani Bobby Wine ayeko wachiki team kumanti bene kipitimo. You know? At this point, Anita Among, I'm sure, is crying Bobby Wine or His Excellency Chagulanyi Sentamu. But Anita Among burned that bridge to ashes. To ashes. She could not allow the thought of Bobby Wine existing in Uganda peacefully. No, she couldn't entertain it. Anita Among no pe benaki tamwe ni noob miaro betie loboni. Eno ku berichani ngato mo maromo kwanye ne kama enti yeni ena e Bobby Wine keken betie minister mo Uganda Kenyu joba Museveni gi petwero enjo men national unity platform ke kena yetwero konyanita men kwolobo kade tamni indong tutwale chide nene kenyudo atika wachi jo mau aki position enini mau chung mati mau neno le kwa ene ogwa le kwa ene oberu mabe chamu chene beru speaker ni mwaga madi anyim pere kai aki beru speaker omiere gam salary 60% no ichamu giripir keni retirement ko petie mapat ki sekandi down mau retiring mabela bon yela petie when kai retiring kuman iponi ngarmano to o ngarmano aki office mapia tamotum o ngarmano ni uberetata peneng na be kotini ni down solo paka bulo gini down solo Francis ayume ineno ko atiti wukong latin wa lokech babawa uminwa latin wa Fred Lokech. I would like to speak to you about Lokech. Lokech was the Lion of Mogadishu, praised. He did a phenomenal job. Phenomenal job. He was no terror to anyone, not fearful at all. Muhoozi didn't care. The Musevenis don't care. When Muhoozi tells you that Lokech, my brother, Lokech, that is BS. Okay? Because the story of Lokech, which I get firsthand from Lokech's person, who was there, present when these things happened to him, I can tell you word for word that Lokech became a terror from a word that he said. He just made a joke or he made a light comment to impress a woman. That Faith, the Faith woman, the Rwandese woman who is called Faith, had an affair with Lokech. And Lokech made a sarcastic statement and said, this man you're looking at here is the next president of Uganda. That alone costed Lokech his entire life. Lokech topa Lokech po perni ena kiwaini ko por ki stool ko por bathroom ko. Lokech otopien Lokech bene kita yang no kiwai ko Lion of Mogadishu ko ngoni. Lokech o lore kun waju ni ana inena beru ni ana chala be beru president me Uganda. O waju loke ni bod dago makilwoni Faith. Mo beru dago Rwandese mati mon makilwoni Faith ni. We all will name okay. If you know Faith's other name, please share with me. Dago enuni madongu bera tata gini Lokech ki Somalia kacha. Dago ni Lokech waju ke dago ni jalwe. Ko nen kong an ni. Ana la dit Uganda president magina. President magina, the next president of Uganda. Kun waju ben logo re. Waju merke dago la wara dago ma la wara ni Diri majana beru president. Tek dago ni winyu lipap utukigo team wa State House. Owa ini uchwa la dege atiki lok mamira kelewu komberichane loka bere pe boro. Dago ni rinyo board Museveni kacha. Museveni dago ni wajiki Museveni ni Lokech a winyu kidoge mafudwa ki kaboro. Ni any be beru the next president of Uganda. Museveni wa En donki eru leko Lokech donki duki tung Uganda ni. Kikelu, konki awinyi kikelu igere. Uganda, Kenya State House, kong Museveni good do lemo atata. Wai latin. Konki wadu lemo ko charu la mengo ata. Kaya wai ini wachingo. Ni ini bibera nga. Ini bibera president. Kingej magingay ni kita Lokech tiye kere ma kiluoni Lion of Mogadishu ni we. Walk ramate mune ada. En nonke luon Lokech dong beru kere ko IGP ko beru nga ko ke or ko Sudan Kenya ko no ke ter ko South Africa we lo ko ni ke don le me piano wachi lo ka president Lokech dong beru ta me tam ni we do lo ko ayera mo ken pe karaman futi tika le ko Lokech mi anega ni ro mo dong gini ira ko wi Museveni ki wachi chapa Lokech do rom ingeni ki chero ki no Lokech gange mati on walk ki kwanyu Lokech ki bar i Lokech ki pala Lokech o jolo chin i chin kuma ni o jolo jami mai i chin ka o to ki chwe chwinya deda Lokech ki wai liela Lokech inge ka dano to yana ki wai Dan mo can talk peaceful, dan mo can talk a remedy dani. Locate big wine or toy ten wine command. Malielba, big wine, piano talk, it wanna rem, ma putika dino, big wine, ma cut a kitting, big wine, it ten wine, command. Locate you ma big wine, mall kitty. A rem cha, pay rom porne kigmoiken. I'm trying to explain to you how Lokech, what happened to Lokech. Okay, many of you know Faith. I forget her last name. Faith, the Rwandese woman who is in the military of Uganda. What's her name? If you have it, please add it here. I'm not seeing my messages. I don't know why. So anyways, while Lokech, the famously known Lion of Mogadishu, was in Somalia, okay, somehow they had relations with Faith. Whatever happened, in the morning he wakes up and says, guess what? In a joking manner, being sarcastic, just being whatever, you know, he says, this guy you see here is the next president of Uganda. In a joking manner, very lightly, very light. He did not know that he's speaking to one of the agents of the Museveni people, one of the custodians of the Museveni's government. That same Faith woman called Museveni immediately and said, Museveni, do you know what Lokech just said? He said that he's the next president of Uganda. And that usually sets those people off because they don't want anybody else to be the president of Uganda. Immediately, Museveni called for Lokech to get rid. You know how he'll invite his people and say, well, come on, let's talk. Let's see what's going on where you are. People on different missions, come back. Let's, you know. So Lokech returns to Uganda to go and see him. The president has called. It's an order. You must attend. As soon as he gets there, he's hit or punched or whatever. Obviously, they reiterate what he said. You said you want to become the president of Uganda? Are you serious? You? Did you say that? He says, I'm really sorry. He apologized. Then they bounce him here and there. He's taken to Sudan. He no longer goes back to Somalia. He's in, you know, they're hoping that if he goes to Sudan, something will happen to him. Then he's sent to South Africa. He's sent here and there. You know, they're moving him into the front lines anywhere they could for anything else to happen to him. But nothing happens. He's protected or he's strong as a person anyway. So Lokech is then brought back to Uganda. That's when he becomes the IGP for some reason. So he does come back to become IGP in Uganda. Sorry, I was reading a message on my phone. With that time, you know, he's pumped to say all kinds of nonsense. It's the time that he said when National Unity Platform's people come to demonstrate or whatever, they should write their will. You know, all of that was him trying to raise the energy and faith and trust of the bosses, the Musevenis, to get their mind off him saying things like he's going to be president of Uganda. But it had already registered as a threat to this establishment. So what happens to Lokech is one day while he's at home, Faith, that's Rwandese woman, and some other SFCs go visit Lokech at his home. They find him in the bedroom, take him to the bathroom, and slice his midsection wide open. I mean, cut across. His organs are all hanging out and he's bleeding. They take out his guts and put them in his hands and say, you want to be president? Of whom? It is said that Lokech's carcass or dead body had tears coming out of his eyes. That is the pain or the expression of pain that this man died in. This is a Ugandan. This is a Ugandan who has the ability and freedom to dream. But those people will stifle a dream that you might know that is possible for you. Just the thought that Lokech thought that he could be president and that he said it to the wrong person got Lokech killed. So any one of you who is parading here and there in positions, make sure that your position is your ceiling and you cannot aspire to be more than that. Because if you do, you are in target. But there is no guarantee that what you are doing is enough to keep you safe. That is why when no one is safe in Uganda, if one person is not safe in Uganda, nobody is safe. Today you think Bobby Wine this, Bobby Wine the other. Bobby Wine has done the best and absolute everything he could do to open our eyes. It is up to us to try to fight for ourselves, because if not, one by one, we are being led to the butcher. One by one. All these MPs today, they are celebrating. Oboth is right behind Anita Among. Oboth is a Babati thief also. We are right behind. I mean, Oboth cannot make any decisions on his own without Tayeba giving a go. Tayeba is the assistant. That is how much Ugandans have gotten used to a level that they cannot surpass. There's a ceiling there. Kubedichawani wunjo amukene mautika yatani uti position ko rutini ni uti mabe utika nyar jo amukene maluk magang kenyu mautawani gen kongi pepe and wundo tiki position we. Dili mara ubi oi kamani tamongti ye ichawani. No ngati moy ken maromo konyu upeke. Kubedichani dang maromo konya nita mong enai Bobby Wine matiwa wako kubedichawani. Ma Bobby Wine romo kwela lock international organization watch tear down money makitika temune kuman uye nyo megonyo ne Bobby Wine pero mtemo gene ne pien down pa Bobby Wine kinero down tomorrow down mati ma butch mati national unity platform duata in KT national unity platform in Uganda ma PIB lo butch no put PIT inaugurated no put PIT national unity platform mabe pien wanga Kimaro Lina Zedriga, Chivumbi, Puti But Koberichani, Kun Kibiano Kichielo Gange in the election. Museveni or Lumonyo Biano Chielo Gange li Pup Makinero Daldida. En Makun Gian Museveni Gian Nerodani, Kibiano Kimaro Muanga Chivumbi, Ayekitere But Wakuberichawani, Museveni Gi. Ayo binu chielo ganga muanga chivumbi. Ento gula story ko muanga chivumbi ena yeti but kombedi chawani. Ine gene dagome Western ni. I forget Mama from Western Uganda. The representative from Western Uganda. En bena ki maro belo butch. But yeah, down on my national unity platform, I pay out chero lemo butch. Karinina de. Wang makalemo. Down wang mati national unity platform, gulemo butch. PM system mapetiu. System from Museveni. Ma wunjo mukena lutela mukeni wang wunutamani wutika mabe dog wutiki immunity. Dog gini ni matika teme kom jochani pero mo oi komu. I'm saying that all of you are in line. All of you elected members or not, or people in certain positions, you are all in line for the chopping block. You are all like animals being led to the butcher. If you think you are safe now, it is temporary. It won't surprise me if Oboth does not make it through the whole 5 years. Because as a human being, he's going to not please the other people, whether he knows it or not. He's going to offend someone. And because he's dispensable, they will do away with Oboth conveniently. At any point in time, they will do away with Oboth. Just like all of you other MPs who become too big for the grassroots. You feel like you can no longer be, in good terms with people who are beneath you. Those who cannot afford this, those who are, you distance yourself, you put yourself on a pedestal. When the time comes, you will need these people and they will not be here. Right now, I don't blame National Unity Platform for not supporting Anita Among, because we have cried, we have buried our people, we have watched torture videos and we have lost our guts. We have lost appetite. We have cried through the night. We have prayed. We've done everything possible just to save our hearts from so much pain that is caused by people in positions. or people who cannot do anything because they're in certain positions. There will come a time for you people who are still there, because Oboth also stole Mabati. Surely it is not difficult for this Muhoozi thing of theirs to come out and say they are also going to investigate Oboth when the time comes that they want Oboth brought to his knees. Because Tayewa is going to lure Oboth into some scenario where he may be tempted to steal, or they'll set him up in something and catch him red-handed. And there will be Oboth gone for good. Like Anita is gone for good. She did not want anybody to be MP because she did not want to miss speakership. She has missed both. Both. What's the point? Anita's constituency is one of the first ones that are going to face by-elections. Anita cannot enjoy the taste of food right now. Anita would rather be a Segrinya under 6 feet in the ground because of the pain and torture that she's feeling. Honorable Segrinya is in a better place than Anita Among at this moment. That is life. Why would you live so large that you don't think other people are worth living? Why? It is a matter of time for the Musevenis to be gone. But why would you do that as a person? Ini dana pingo de beri wai ina ideruba. Ini tamani jo mo kene makwani. Ina yechwe yoge. So many have gone to their rest. Able-bodied, great individuals, Wapakabulo, Francis Ayume, General Lokech, Nyakairima. Nyakairima, he thought it was one of them. Aronda Nyakairima was an actual Ugandan native. His demise, because they felt like he was threatening or could have been loved enough to become president, Aronda Nyakairima was poisoned in Dubai or Abu Dhabi, waiting for a transfer flight to his final destination. They sent him on a mission and sent him his assistant with poison. When he got to the Middle East on his layover, he stayed overnight, was given whatever Museveni sent them to give him. Aronda died in the airplane, and yet he walked from his hotel to the airplane and never got out of the airplane. Never. They woke him up and he could not wake up. He had not complained of a headache, not complained of anything. Aronda was gone. Aronda had began working at Internal Affairs as a minister, you remember that? And at the passport offices, which today they have given a Rwandese that office. Aronda's job was to make sure that people who qualified for the passports of Uganda got them rightfully and on time with the right demographic history needed to get those IDs. In essence, he was trying to protect Ugandan sovereignty in their immigration office, the main immigration office for passports. The Rwandese people got upset because he was not allowing willy-nilly Rwandese people to get passports. That alone earned Aronda Nyakairima his death on the Museveni's calendar. Atika wachi danuma kilwoni Aronda Nyakairima. Eni bere yang danuma annually Uganda kikome. No tiu igena Internal Affairs i passport office. Aronda narong down mara deda an kikoma ni arwata ke Aronda. Angeyu personally. I know Aronda myself. I knew him. Down my maru dana deda. Down my koni dana deda. Uno dong ena ye nero ni passport pa jo Ugandan ki yubu ma bed o ki yubu kare ma miete. Mo pore. Jo mo kena ma ai wakani pegi no passport. En gina do doni keri wi Johnny wachi jale ni na chotika gengo yo yetwayan. Aronda yerudege ki State House new church team ki money igene Asia kacha we are people all over ne. Aronda ki miyo yat ki yo madong chika chero ki Dubai. Me chero megu makudege me kupune kamukene. Te Aronda doni dege ma ki Dubai. Pedocho. Pebo poko abawich. Poko gemoke ken. Aronda no dong pe. Wunjo mu kene mauti position ni. Unemba. Atika nyutubu line ma down order ma down tika what kere me chero kama ke ngono wigi o yeli tup atika nyutubu. Kono mero winyune kono degi eni ni katek gamente eni futie we. Wun wang poti safe ya. Poti safe. Dano makuberichani Johnny mirti gubed pe wek wota jali o makke duata en wun joma mwaga wudo cherni. Wun joma perigamente mama poli. Pe mirti ubetie kenyu. Pe mirti ubetie. Chi wunu tamani wun keri dano ki wunu dano wunu nandana nanani. Utamani ubeberi mabe. Wun mau chai joma kena wunu chai joma gimoge peni. Utamani wunu ubeberi mabe la benaga. O both of us unero genu teme bara Anita, unero genu teme kom Jacob, unero genu teme kom waka bulogi, unero genu teme kom gere nobo mayombogi, ngeyo en yo weng, en to tika wat kun chera we tika en mega de better part. Poor better part. Unjo mo kene weng pe part. It is the same thing. Take Johnny puti lodge, au mark down my beba. Koperichane Anita among koke tuare tingom. Tuar bebe da kwa pien kwa lan maki beru kere cho mo ke ken matie tika gwakanita kunu donya ya mo ke ken koi tiki silim koi pe kisilim koi mermu berini weng donya I fridge kamanita tiye ki beru kere kita yi gumero en gina gitimi kom jo national unity platform eno mom no ki beru ket get ta no ya ki kunu mai tiki silim Kenya dan mu bale duota. Dan ma kor dan duota. En Anita enba. Diri megi. Kao tamani gemati loko na loko piani doga duong. Sure. Nero. Obi pore kom down weng. Down miro aro. Wek gutim gimo gukela loga. Kape we. Watika meta nying watika meta tunka marach. Wrong direction. So, meno story pa Anita. That is all about Anita Among. She's not in great shape. But like they did with the Eddie Mutwe, when they abducted him and tortured him, they cannot present Anita Among in any court at the condition that she is. They can't. They have to make sure Anita Among is a bit more healed and looks better and feels better. That is if she doesn't die from her torture, from the torture. That is if Anita Among That is if Anita Among this is sad. It's really, really sad. It makes me I feel bad as a human being. I really do. I do. I really do. I really do. But the things that this woman has done, I don't know. Too many. Too many. Between Segrinya and Anita Among, so many people have gone just because. She could have done something. She never did. Why do we have to do something now? Why? Maybe we'll have a change of heart. I don't know. Maybe this will be the Hail Mary for change in Uganda. Maybe. Maybe. Maybe we will get there. Maybe. But right now, I battle with the people who have suffered while Anita had the powers to do something. I battle with that feeling. I battle with all of that. I battle with Mama Lina Zedriga being imprisoned as a judge, as an attorney. Anita Among is the same. And she doesn't say or do. And I battle with all of that. It's hard. It's hard for me to say. It's hard. So, I want to talk about the appointment of that gentleman Okay, I don't think I'll do very much today, but I want to talk about the appointment of the gentleman to the Internal Affairs Office. The one who has stirred a lot of debate. Let me get his names.
Ugandan one. If you're looking for a hot. To congratulate Honorable Nab.
The gentleman who was appointed to be the Internal Affairs Minister. So an office like that is like the kitchen of a home. An office of internal affairs is the heart of a country. An office of internal affairs is the housekeeper of a country, is the guard of honor of a country, is the sovereignty office of a country. Atika wachi office makilwani internal affairs ni. Oberu office matie la palchuin unyo kachwin lobo money. Office me internal affairs oberi wai jokon me lobo money. Maka majami ma gwo gang katuki jam cham kingongo jemi ma wa gang worun yo beri mabe katiki office makilwani internal affairs. Internal affairs ere ka maki yubiye national ID ki yubiye passport. Kitemi loka immigration lokpa nga makar wa nga madonyo Uganda ilobo en nga makar nga madonyo kartaj me word mene mangar mone tiekere ni mena ye teach pa office makilwoni internal affairs. The reason, the purpose of internal affairs is to manage, housekeep internal issues or matters. That is why it's the heart of a country. Internal affairs meaning managing whose entry and exit into the country, just so that it is clean, clear, and is how it's supposed to be. You remember a few months ago, Muhoozi came up and said that his Rwandese people are struggling to get passports at the passport office. And this makes sense that they have picked a Rwandese person to put into the Internal Affairs passport office to control production, reproduction of passports or travel documents in Uganda. This means, imagine all the sanctioned people of Rwanda because of the agreement that failed with Tshisekedi that they signed over in the US with President Donald J. Trump. All those agreements, all of those sanctioned people will now get passports to their fullest, to their wish. They are going to be able to assign themselves different Ugandan names. In fact, they may strip actual Ugandans of their passports, of their names, and give them to Rwandese people of that nature. Those sanctioned people will now have access to getting whatever documents they need to go anywhere in the world unless there's fingerprint restrictions that were captured. But what I know is that if somebody has never traveled, they don't have fingerprints stored anywhere in the world. So this passport office now is going to expressly print passports for all Rwandese individuals born, not born, prospective, late, or whatever to their convenience. And every sort of scholarship, opportunity for Ugandans to go abroad is now going to be all for Rwandese officially because they don't have to worry about travel documents. Ugandans are going to wait for passports for as long as the Rwandese wish. In fact, some Ugandans may never get passports. Because once you go and register and have your NIN number or whatever, they can easily give it to a Rwandese guy or woman for their convenience. For example, the sanctioned guys, they are going to get a legitimate Ugandan, match them with this individual, and those guys are ready to go. So as much as Donald Trump has stopped them from coming, or there's sanctions on those people, Museveni's government has affixed a Rwandese individual to the passport office of Uganda to print and mass print passports and hand them to those people. We're going to find them all over the world. And that's a big problem. That is why Ugandans are complaining about this guy particularly being appointed to that office. It is dangerous. It's unacceptable. But then again, that is their group. They're all the same people. I tell you, Uganda, if we don't do something as a people, no matter what we do for small things, the bigger umbrella is still there. Ati wachi la cho makikeru ni ubed NIA ubed minister ma internal affairs de la cho ma aki Rwanda. Okay? La cho ni enu ni awachi office enu ubed wa jokon me loboko. Chiman tie jo me lobo Rwanda kunyoni tie dar mo ko ki ngolo passport gi o pegro mo wor lobo mo ke ken kiloni sanction pakikere kom gi me jo ma aki Rwanda. Pibal mago per katimone metero M23 nge M23 ber pa Museveni gene Kagame Johnny and nigi chere Congo kacha gi tor down gi wano down gi mero mano kama ki luone Kivu ni pien Kivu ber kama lonyo telo bo duo deda ento kori diwi jo Rwanda enini gi mete gi maje mi wa maya pegi paru bene chiman gudonyo kamano en jami me tengo me gi mete gi nguntung Congo enu dok megi kita gitika manu geri Uganda ni gitika lwenyi Congo bene chi President Trump Donald J Trump me America wachi gun pamiero tim gine ni magu kero chingi Kagame kero chie gen ki President me Congo makiloni Tshisekedi guye ni lwende obeberu pe ento te Kagame duguli pap odaka lwenyi kupeli chani joni futi kunu ma video tie manyuruge chi jo ma Paul ma aki Rwanda Donald President me America ongwalu nyingi yako ki embassy ukeru style nyingi ni premier gukar wako mechere lobo ma wako premier pe lobo mo ke mati Western America UK Europe Canada premier ye John yani ingeyo ka kero blacklist kumeno we lobo mo ken non poko ki lobo mo ken we gen non gu ye no konyo ki tij me kwedo ta lok mo ken ni gen non ye ta America wayu jo ken we ndo following Karaman enjo manu ki ngolo passport gi on yo ki kero sanctuary wigini nenon kita ki kelu kere jale ni me beru la dit nyo red office enini passport don ki bi chera charu jo mati gene certificate make yu mati fake make yu ki nakasero ne passport don ki bi yu ki jo par jo ma ai Rwanda madua ta manyin jo Uganda mo kene don ki bi raba dob don ki kero mere I passport ki mini gi in my chair my Uganda my tiki nin number nyo tiki visa ni donki kwanyo oki wi ki keri wi ngat en ma ki Rwanda ni en chera inde ikor passport donkwe pedugu pede bi no passport jo mogo be no passport no ki kero bali wigi pien joni ngi yo me kerne no ki kero bali wi tere o kamane ki tuk makali ruet pero mu wakwero gen bal money ni pien in pe ngi ki no gen guti mekere chera buch Dok passport dongo be yubu passport kono laten ma kenyalo kono laten ma kibinyalo kono muje money ni kono nga Jemmy weng mano ki mi pi Uganda chalo basari me word me gang kwan ki ngongo weng nong cherbo Rwanda pien passport dong tiewe passport dong ki yubu kita juini en Johnny na tiki nin number wu Johnny na tiki ID number wu urungeni office panera tiwa Rwanda Office for National ID of Uganda is in Rwanda. Did you know that? Which means all national IDs of Ugandans are made in Rwanda. What a convenience that this whole country owns all of this now. Passport office could potentially be moved to Rwanda and stationed in Rwanda. That means they are going to print passports for all Rwandese. They will all have passports, a Ugandan passport and a Rwandese passport. If the Rwandese doesn't work, they go to the embassy and they don't get a visa, they will apply again with the Ugandan passport and try to get that as well. They are going to do all manner of things. They are going to expedite passports or IDs or national IDs for all Rwandese now. Ugandans, you're going to wait in line for the longest ever. Longest. You will wait in line and maybe never get an ID because your name has already been given to some Rwandese idiot. Do you see the problem? It is not just the idea of this Rwandese person being in this position. It is the endless possibilities they have with this position. Beru pajali me beru minister no ram beru minister gimoy kana igumero. Ento kwanyu down ma aki Rwanda make it to name a better minister in office enini. Roma don't wa Uganda yetge. Roma wa Uganda yetge. Don't go bete make it a ego mero. Makina mukana no po be choke. Ento amero wachi jami mogo matino tieno mawa Roma timoneni. O miero wa tim mekwet to Johnny o go kikin wa PM. Tie kari wa nem charo anyway. Put it anyway. Noti yo mukana wang piera beat mano gitiki yo mete mujome mukane. Now, enami rachi. Eni twelve be right kenti wang wako beti chawani. Ento di mukana matia mete. La boy wan ngero ne. Kawa ngero gerana kera logo ye. Ento mapewa tia ngene gena di. Wa yabu wangwa. Johnny Peramu tia kuwaka ya da. Pien kanena tia kuwatie. Uno ruba yubu Uganda beru Rwanda. Kanoni gini miero bet kuman. Ento peda ginu wego ruba opogoni. En ngeyu. Dok Uganda bodong pe one. Uganda pobe beru Rwanda. No. Gitika timu jami weng. Ento pegiramu weko Uganda beru Rwanda. Pien kita ruba yubu kere. Enu beru beru kumeno. So no matter what they do, they cannot absolutely make Uganda Rwanda. No way. It is God's intention that these two borders are separate. And they're two different people. One evil and one loving and lovely. There is no way. But we must do something. God helps those who help themselves. I used to know that. We must do something to stop the little that we know and see. Don't give these people breathing space anymore. We're not doing that. No, no. Whatever we know, we're going to speak about and get it where it needs to go. Absolutely. Absolutely. This struggle is not going to end. It must continue, and we are going to put every effort there is to get it to the finish line. To a new Uganda. It's coming. And we will get there. Because if it wasn't intended that way, we wouldn't be here. Wouldn't be here. But we must work. And this is part of it. Let us do whatever we can. Speak about whatever there is that they're doing out there. Let me highlight on a few things that Oboth has already been assigned to do. Atike jami mogoma list me check your bills ma Oboth kimi machalo teach nimniero o work in any bill egini o karo parliament. Kono betemening bill enini egini we wang magukaro. When we upo bill na sovereignty bill, down ma ukete bill eni Anita among Oulanya ki MPs mogo ki ministers mogo ma pol. Munu neno ni bill eni gumir ni ukat ki nying Georgia ni we madonge bayo gi ni we. Manuti sanction ga dirmaya bino oba pori ko manga Oulanya pien ko bedi chawani kari ni dong pay office sanction pudramu gudune pien ti recorded I bill chani ma bill ene dong wano wa ke report o UN ki kwene ni ma kun matete ke ni bill ni dio dano jami gera waru mod ento obe o sanction obe o. I was alluding to the fact that, did you see how much they rushed the sovereignty bill so that Anita Among would be the one to pass that bill, registered as the member of parliament or the Speaker of Parliament and a member of Parliament. Oulanya, minister at the time, is the one who is listed on that bill, which Museveni wanted to pass, which he wanted to pass within the last 15 days of the term. That bill did not go through all the cycles it needed to because they wanted the people, the outgoing names to be on that bill. So when the sanctions come, it won't be Tayewa. It will be Anita Among, Oulanya, and so on and so forth, which he has already kicked out of his space. Most of the people who are party to some of the dirt that was done, like the sovereignty bill, are no longer on Museveni. He has shaken them off. And the rest who are still hanging on, he doesn't care what happens to them. But imagine a sanction on some of these ministers who are coming up, use and dump. They use and dump. And it's time to get rid of those. But listen to what Oboth's new assignments are. And if he passes these, they will discard him. I mean, what you will Museveni go or Oboth ni teacher and in your Oboth miro team, mire nani caro, bila para beach and in the wang dog check Uganda in Mwara beach and in my anti speaker ni. Makuni nana ni Oboth tika wat chero and kamani tati yeni. Waka kwani wo bills ne. Bill me a chel wajuni. Parliament ena ye obebi yero speaker. Manong no lumu e parliament manyen ko. President kibiyero e parliament dong. Ineno. Ningom weng me Uganda obedoko pagamente. Mier dong ki kere check ba? Border law for passengers to make entry. That's it. Ni down matika don Uganda. Kay don Uganda ki Kenya. Miere dok kitung Kenya. Peda ka chere katitung Rwanda. Mono kilwani check me border. Border law. Ni ka ngarumono don ki Kenya. I border me don Uganda o miero doki tung kunu pedo ko chet kamo kerne po chet tung Sudan yo po chet kamo kerne trade law ni check me gene check me chat will me business any Oboth miero neni e caro bile ni bene church law payment tax ni on lega weng dong ubu chulo muchoro oba onyo muchoro chene ma unu tere kanisa e chencha bete Mukene mira ki tong ki chul muchoro bodgamente. Wunjo mau chere gine I betting. Check do buberutie ma check mano kwa lok me betting gaming regulation laws. Check me gangkwani kita nena wachi wuni gangkwan pa jo mano ti mano tie annually ma Uganda ni mira ki tu business gyogo. Wek luteno kwan wengu cheri gangkwani pa joma aki Rwanda pien ku berichani ku yubo dok ku welo gangkwani mapol en kimino gi lon kimi lon ijeo gangkwan kitero gangkwani dok megi chik mo kene marriage amendment law man chik menyom I Uganda man ini pien Rwanda sika nyome ki jo Uganda madwa de da man dong nenjalo kimiro mini gi ngo kaka Poke kaka Uganda. Diri maya wabi chere detail Parties and burial law. Chiek me ka choke me gore me temu party. Nyo yip. Gore ma dodone dong Museveni pe merba. Pien luo ni koni dano ka wigu ba leki ka choke mani. Gerang torga mente ako. Mukene puti biano ti yo. Ento Oboth miero kat chira di a beach. Mamukene en foot pi angayuni. Manyuti Oboth tero teacher and li pap no ramocha me kwanyu kone ronyo me kwanyu ne ori office. I'm going to explain to you the 5 bills that they have already given Oboth assignments to that he must pass in these 5 years that he's in Speaker of Parliament. That is if he lasts the 5 years. Let's say he expedites all of these and they go through within 3 years, it'll be time to dump him or dispense him. So one of the first laws is that the president will be elected in parliament. So none of other Ugandans of common will be eligible to vote for their own president. All presidents will be elected in parliament, which means because NRM is majority, the future presidents will all have to come from Museveni's decisions and family. Basically. Parliament to vote for speaker, that's the other law. Land to become for government, that's the other law. Border law for passengers to make entry from the same border as they exit. So if you come in from the Kenya border into Uganda, you must leave the same way and not through another border. Okay? Trade law. They're going to change some trade laws. As these develop, I will share with you and we'll discuss them into detail. Church laws of payment of taxes. All churches are going to pay taxes from the tithe they collect from people. Gaming regulatory laws. They're going to set up laws about and surrounding gaming. Possibly gaming wins are going to be taxed from now on. School regulations, as I said, they want to take school ownerships from Ugandans to Rwandese people because they have already have their schools set with all amenities that now they want to start collecting money from those schools. So Ugandan business owners like Little Muhoozi, the school called Little Muhoozi is wanted by Museveni and his family, and they're going to kill both directors, husband and wife. The owners of the home in Nansana is surveilling them at the slope near their home. Anybody who knows the owners, the director, husband and wife of Little Muhoozi, there are spies in the home in Nansana down the slope. From their home in Nansana. Somebody is surveilling their home from the slopes there and giving all the information. And they've noted that their home has lots of acres, like 8 acres of land. And so this is supposed to be happening. Museveni's family wants Little Muhoozi's school and the land that they own where their home sits. So next time you hear of dead, them passing away or something, you know that it's about the Museveni people. The other regulation is marriage amendment law. They want to amend the marriage law. This is possibly going to give Rwandese who are intermarried some sort of ancestral beginning in Uganda. Somehow is going to root Rwandese intermarriages into Uganda further. That's what the law, I think, is about. They are also going to regulate parties and burials into a law where they want to control the crowds. Because you know that Museveni is worried about crowds gathering. Even market days are going to be stopped. I saw something about Ebola saying market days are not, they don't want market days to continue because of the effects of Ebola and this and that. But surely, when they're going to put a law about parties and burial, it just means they're wanting to set something in place for all manner of circumstances that will come. So if you're going to get married or have a kwanjula or have this and that, they're probably going to restrict the number of people in attendance and for how long a party can go on. Okay? And etc. So there will be others. So this has been quite long. I apologize. But I wanted to catch up. I think I had a few days that I didn't come because I had some things here and there. But I am all caught up now on what's happening. Okay. We'll catch up tomorrow or the day after. Thank you for being here. I appreciate all your time and for staying. I got emotional there. I almost cried. But that's just being a human being. We have all that. I can't always be, on the high end. Sometimes I may have this and that because I think about the things and what people go through, and it hurts me as a person, I'd be inhuman to think that it doesn't faze me at all because what am I doing here? Okay? Ana marwa da video na do bugi kakan akwayo ke japi ter wankar malach ento pianni na di money pa bien no no ni olika non kara bien a mak jami bogo manon a wa ma gena ni tika karo no tika karo je mo kana ka pa ter yoro a poni no gena no kara ma jami na te meno do karo ko do mogo be do te me ko chia wachi a o ma mo kana food pio te me okay ana mar wadida abi neno wudak dire nyo dire maja be mada uben mabe amaro wang. I love you very much. You take care. Have a good day, good night, good afternoon, good evening. We'll see you again a day or two from now. Okay? Take care.